Howdy, my name is William.
And I'm Mason.
And we are On Topic,
the podcast where we talk about interesting things with interesting people.
Today we will be discussing fashion.
I know. This will be a kind of a more loose podcast in terms of like where we'll be landing at with certain questions related to fashion and topics related to fashion. But
we'll
see
I don't
where it goes.
want it to I mean, this will be, there is philosophical substance here.
Yes.
I'm going to be discussing like fashion as a moral system.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have any like metaphysical feelings about fashion or not.
Personally, I don't, but I mean, I know you do, and I would love you
and we
bounce
can
those
discuss, right,
off
and
of
so
me to see if
you're here for philosophy, there will be philosophy. This will be a philosophical discussion of fashion.
Yeah,
but we will also just, waddle through the landscape that is style.
Yeah. Well, basically, we'll jump around to whatever feels right, and
fun.
Knowing us, we will inevitably fall upon more metaphysical and philosophical questions.
You're going to say off topic.
No, it'll be on topic, surely, right? It'll stay on topic.
We're us.
Anyway, where did you want to begin with this?
That is an excellent... Oh, one more note before we start is that this was a totally impromptu prompt.
Mm-hmm.
Impromptu, if you will. Yeah. So I picked a good day to wear a three-piece suit. This was totally...
yep, exactly.
Uncoordinated.
I totally did not prepare for an entirely separate podcast that will be coming out soon. But yeah, again, this is... Yeah. I think we can manage with this.
Changed our direction.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So, can we start by defining terms? I mean, we already had a disagreement a little bit before the podcast started about this. So,
did we?
Yeah, at the bounds of fashion.
Oh, right. I thought you were I thought you were talking about defining. Well, okay, sure.
So we can define fashion and then move into that,
and then we can define good and bad fashion.
Sure.
If you even believe that there is such a thing as bad fashion,
we'll get there.
Okay, so what is fashion?
Fashion, I think, is anything outside of anything you decide to put into your, I guess, image that's not part of you, and I would say it's bounded by being physical for sure. So anything you decide to, and mostly clothing, sometimes accessories you put on yourself to change your physical image in order to present yourself the way you want to.
I agree.
Is how I would frame that. Yeah.
Your fashion is what you don.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For any purpose, not exclusively for the purposes of style. Anything that you put on is a component of fashion because you could put on something that looks better or worse that serves the same purpose. So
if I put on one of those really, really old school, like early 1900s divers suits with like the giant, the giant circle helmet and the grate on the front, do you think that counts as fashion?
I mean, sure. I suppose maybe what it is it enters the domain of fashion if there are options. So if you could wear one of those that's bronze, the metal is bronze on the circle, or you could wear one that the metal inlay is, it's not an inlay, that the metal is silver instead, then you're making a fashion decision. Then it is fashion. But if there's literally only one model of it that exists, there's only the bronze ones, then I'm not sure it does count as fashion.
Interesting. So the element of choice that you have in the visual or the physical appearance of whatever you're deciding to don,
right,
is a core part of that.
That's what makes it fashion instead of just necessity. Like because the dude, but I don't know. I don't feel like you can say that it's fashion if he's going scuba diving and has only that option to go scuba diving. And so puts that on. Like, it's not a fashion decision. He's not choosing anything.
So let me ask you another question.
Okay.
If you have, say you're a diabetic and you have to wear an insulin patch on your shoulder, right? One of those like ones you snap on. Is deciding between a blue and a black one of those, is that a fashion decision?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Or like a Dora the Explorer one.
Yeah. Is putting a Band-Aid on
a fashion decision? Yes. They make the ones that are like smooth and flush with your flesh. You could match them to your skin tone if you want. They make the bumpy ones. They make the big ones, square ones. All sorts of choices you could make that affect the way it'll look on you.
That's good. I
A
agree
Star
with
Wars
this.
Band-Aid.
It's just I'm not. I would never wear one of those, just to be clear.
True fashion faux pas.
The reason I ask this, I'm trying to like
Rolling to the gala with the homies in our Star Wars Band-Aids.
I know people will put on those like cinch Band-Aids on their face. As like I've seen people do that purely for a fashion decision, which is interesting.
Weird. I don't know
They're
about
like,
this.
They're like the tiny strip ones that like you when you get like a cut and you need to like push it together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen people wear those.
Interesting.
When they don't even need them. I guess there you go. That's a fashion decision.
Yeah, it totally is.
Well, the reason why I was asking this many questions about it is because usually you're very regimented in how you define your things, and I had a feeling you'd be more like hypercritical of these types of things and be like, oh, Band-Aids aren't fashion. What do you mean Band-Aids are fashion? What you're wearing is fashion. What do you mean?
No, I mean, I think fashion is just the domain of styling yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much any decision that you make about what you put on or in proximity to. Well, no, here's an interesting question. Is something that you're not wearing but that you keep in your environment fashion? Like, is your desk a fashion component? Is your car a fashion component?
I was about to ask the car thing, actually, because I was like, you put on clothes, you're getting into a car. It feels kind of similar.
It does.
But no, I would say it's
closed off to the idea.
I would say you have to operate independent. You have to still be independently operable as a person without that. Like, I can't go on a hike wearing my car.
Is there a distinction between style and fashion? Because I feel like a car definitely would be part of your style.
Yes,
so would posture.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I was going to say, I think fashion is encapsulated in style. Right. It's like, it is, it's within style.
So fashion is specifically the part of your style that has to do with what you wear.
Yes, but if you drive a lowrider, right?
Definitely part of style.
Definitely part of your style. It adds to like the image fashion. you're putting forward. But it's not fashion. No.
I agree with this. I like this.
I would say fashion has to be independently a part of yourself. Like it has to function as like being part of you and where you decide to go and stuff like that.
So then what makes fashion good or bad?
So in my opinion, I don't think that you can have an opinion on whether a certain fashion choice or an outfit that someone has put together is good or bad. Obviously, people are entitled to their opinions, but I don't think that you can objectively say that something is good or bad fashion.
I feel like you tend to be a sort of social constructivist regarding like morality and whatever. I feel like you should say that what makes a piece of fashion good or bad is what we socially agree upon, which does make it objective in a sense. It's just contingent.
There is a generally accepted kind of like fuzzy cloud of what good fashion is, and that shifts. I mean, there's been fashion trends that have happened in the past that obviously changes and stuff, and that, yes, you can make a reference to that. I would say I was speaking like purely objectively. You can't make any statement about whether fashion is good or bad.
So you think if you were to wear a double XS orange jumpsuit, this is not an objectively bad fashion decision.
It's not objectively bad. It might be, personally offensive for me. I might not, be super open to saying that it's a good fashion choice just because I have my own opinions on what's cool in fashion, and I also have the cloud of what's generally accepted as good fashion that's created by the community.
So where do your opinions about what's good fashion come from?
I would say partly it's just what I have seen. Like I'm kind of like an information sponge, right? If I'm walking around a mall, right, and I see people wearing certain outfits, this is a very closed off scenario.
Sponge.
But yeah. I am an information sponge.
You use the term all the time. I love that you're trying to coin it.
Yeah. But yeah, say I'm walking around a mall and this is the first time I've ever considered fashion in my entire life, right?
Sure.
This is just like a metaphor for my entire life.
Right.
And I see people walking around with certain outfits on, right? I feel like I would generally cater towards the ones that are more common. I feel like most people are, because you're going to try and, it's the human condition to try and not the human condition. It's a human
yeah.
like experience to try and fit in with a crowd, right? You are drawn to being part of a crowd because there's power in numbers.
Performative, or what? That's not the word I was looking for. I do think conformity is part of the human condition.
Yes, exactly. So you would want to conform to the whatever seems the most beneficial to you. And if there's a certain fashion trend going on, right, like where people are, I don't know, skinny jeans are back in, and everyone's wearing skinny jeans, or not everyone, but like 75% of the people you see in the mall are wearing skinny jeans. You're probably going to be more amicable to the idea of wearing skinny jeans.
It's a matter of blending in with the herd, right? Because you feel safer if you're not distinguishable from the things around you.
Yes, but then there's also, I think your personal opinion as to like what looks good and what doesn't is influenced by that for sure. But also I feel like where your personal injections into your own fashion style come from are mainly, I feel like a lot of them come from the intersection between purely fashion and utilitarian fashion. So for instance, you could be really into rings, for example. Well, that's not a good example. Actually, never mind.
Are you going to do the watch ring
I'll just do
thing?
watches. Yeah, why not? Because I'm a watch person. So yeah, you could really appreciate the craftsmanship that goes into a watch, right? And that has a utility as well. It's like it has, you could buy a dive watch, and that dive watch could have a history behind it that you really, really respect and admire, and it draws you to wanting to purchase that, not even just because it looks good, but also because it has that thing behind it, that what you can call it, legacy, you can call it. It just has that special thing to it, and I feel like a lot of the times that happens in things that are both utilitarian and fashionable.
So let's take the same logic that you're using with the herd mentality. Let's follow that, because does that also work for ideology? Does that work for moral decisions? If you live in a society where everyone thinks that it's good to eat your mother, is it then good to eat your mother?
I wouldn't. It's hard for me to. It's hard for me to say this, but I mean, yes, but I wouldn't say it's hard, because if you say it's good to eat your mother, most people are going to take it as, is it objectively good to eat your mother? And it's like, well,
given your circumstances, is it good to eat your mother?
It would be a reasonable reaction for the person in that scenario to want to eat their mother. I would say that is the case. Yeah. I mean, there are cannibalistic societies.
Right. Reasonable and good have to be different, though.
Well, I'm injecting reasonable in that, because it admittedly does sound bad for me to say, yes, it's good for that person to want to eat their mother.
And you think there's no deeper moral underpinning for that instinct whatsoever besides learned behavior?
I would say that it's possibly, I think we have a general tendency towards things, which is why most societies don't, have multiple, like the general public's opinion falling upon wanting to eat your mother.
Right.
Yeah, so I would say you do have a natural tendency to avoid things, like avoid certain actions, and one of those would be to have violent acts on your community.
But there's no moral weight to that. There's nothing intrinsically wrong about killing someone who hasn't done anything.
I mean, I would say that there is, but that's just because from my personal experience, that's just been how my moral system has developed. But if you're working with blank slate, then absolutely.
Then absolutely not.
Yes, absolutely.
There is no.
Yes, there would be no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough.
And
at least you're internally consistent.
I believe we've spoken about this in the past as well on a previous episode, I believe. I don't remember exactly which one it was.
The eating your mother thing was definitely from a past episode. I was pulling that back up from the archives.
Yes. I would refer back to that podcast if you guys wanted to watch it. But again, I don't remember exactly which one.
Love?
It was not love. It was a while ago.
It was.
Was it?
It was, because the love, it was you wouldn't eat your mother because you love her. And then I was like, well, wait, there are other reasons you wouldn't eat your mother also.
Possibly, yeah. Maybe I think the eating your mother thing came from the Love podcast,
Yes.
but I think the
that's possible.
questions about relative morality.
Yeah, I don't know where that was.
I think that was on a much earlier episode. So
I would believe that.
yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I would say that fashion works the exact same way as morality in that regard.
Interesting.
And I think the way that, and usually with that thing, with those circumstances, you're like, okay, then why do certain fashion trends begin in the first place? Or how do you set off this race? And I think that comes from purely utility, right? If it's cold, I need something to cover me. I take this hide and I put it over me. There you go. You have a utility reason, or a utility-centered reason for making a fashion choice. And then from there, you can make things more convenient, and then you get then you can realize that it works with the human psyche and whatnot to to make other people look more favorably upon you and stuff, which I feel like is mostly the reason why people make fashion choices, but we can talk about that as well.
I feel like part of the utility of it has to be a performative element, right? Like mate selection is sort of a utilitarian thing. And creatures besides humans do that, peacocks with their feathers and all male birds with their dancing and whatever. It's
yeah. I think bassoon is an instrument. Never
yes,
mind.
it is.
I don't remember what I'm thinking of. But
I would avoid naming birds. Their names tend to be a bit wild and unhinged.
Yes, I think there's the black-footed. I think I'm not going to finish that, but yes, they do have very interesting names. Either way, I think that evolved at a later point, though. I was speaking as to like where the decision to even incorporate fashion came from, and I think it's pretty easy to trace that back to just like man need clothes, man put on clothes because it's cold or because you want to protect yourself from the environment.
Sure. I mean, even if you're looking at it from that perspective, though, I mean, like, there's just looking good is a survival thing, not even just for mate selection, but in terms of asserting dominance, right? Like, good fashion will make your shoulders look broader, will make your chest look bigger, whatever, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
And so I think even if you want to go into this sort of caveman schema, when you've got Grok in his, I guess I shouldn't use something that's an AI. You've got Grog in his.
That's also something already. Grog is like an alcohol.
You've got Uga in his sort of leather tunic sash thing with one shoulder strap, and you've got Booga, and he's got his other leather tunic thing, but his has two straps. I don't know which of those would actually be technically better for framing. I'm not a fashion student or anything.
Yeah.
But one of those will make your shoulders look broader, your chest look bigger, you look more confident and domineering. Yeah. And that's going to be a survival thing. I feel like there is utility purely in how good or bad something makes you look.
Absolutely. And I'm not disagreeing with that. I was speaking more towards that first spark, that catalyzing action that then allows that to be the case. But yes, I also think that I would say that if in terms of prioritization, I think the utility of clothes comes before the actual look of clothes.
Crowns came independent of utility. Surely someone just saw something cool and was like, put that up here, dog.
Yes, yeah. I mean, fair enough. And that would be what you're talking about.
So you're talking about the very genesis of fashion as a domain, not the genesis of each fashion
I would say that people are always going to choose to wear things for utility before fashion. Like you're gonna I feel like people are always gonna I feel like you'd rather, instead of looking good and dying, you'd rather have the utility, the higher utility clothing for whatever given situation before that, right? And even like your choice to wear certain clothes now is permissible because it's winter, right? So you have that utility reason, and then on top of that, you can build a fashion thing. I think that's the lowest level.
I was about to use myself as a counterexample to what you're saying. I don't think that is necessarily true because, like, in elementary school, man, you remember that red fleece jacket that I wore all the time?
Mm-hmm.
I wore that thing straight through the middle of summer. I wore that
Sure.
thing when it was like 115 degrees outside. I got heat stroke because I was wearing that in the heat. I think comfort over style is not a biologically instilled instinct. I think
You could possibly, I would say as a general rule for most people, I feel like that's how that works, right? It's the whole thing of like, oh, it's finally winter, I can wear my winter outfits. Oh, it's finally summer, I can wear my summer outfits. Like, I feel like that comes first, and then that sparks your creative freedom that then you can, make decisions on how you want to present yourself. Again, that's not going to work for everybody, but I feel like as like a general fashion rule, I feel like that is how that functions. Like, I just wouldn't wear a turtleneck during the summer. That's just not summer clothing. But
right.
because it is winter now, I could at least afford myself the possibility that I could wear a turtleneck.
I've seen it. It's happened.
It has happened. Yep. But yeah, again, I would have to look into that. I know there are people that, like, I'll wear jeans during the summer occasionally. That's not the greatest idea. I mean, shorts would be much better for that, but
I don't wear linen pants are ideal. I mean, you don't see the people walking around the hot Arabian deserts in shorts and a t-shirt. They're fully covered. It's just thin fabric. That's what makes you coolest and looks best.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough, but you know what I mean. Like, on a grand scale, that I'm not making a point. I mean, like, what I'm saying is jeans are better than shorts in that regard for at least how I would live my life. If I have to spend the entire day in the sun.
You mean shorts?
Yes.
Are better than jeans.
Or better than jeans.
You said it the other way.
Did I?
You did.
Oh, well, okay. So shorts are better than jeans for the way I live my life during the summer. I'm not hiking across the Sahara in shorts, obviously, because then I'm at risk of like melanoma and stuff like that.
Right.
Well, long-term exposure that leads to melanoma or something like that. Either way, I'm at risk because it's just not ideal. But the way I live my life in the summer, I'll make that decision. It'll be fine.
See, I think shorts are just objectively bad. I think there is never a context in which maybe swimming.
Okay.
For swimming, shorts.
Swimming and anything besides
permissible.
Shorts would be a wild thing to do.
Say that to all Europeans.
What?
They use Speedos. Not writ large, but Speedos are not shorts. I'm not advocating them. I think they're worse than shorts.
You can have Speedos that are just like really tiny. Can you not?
That's the whole thing about them. A Speedo is like a bikini bottom, basically.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Which is not shorts.
I see. Gotcha.
Yeah. But that's going in the other direction. Swimming in pants, I think, would be impractical. And swimming in less than shorts, I think, is immodest. And so shorts are peak swimwear.
Mm-hmm.
But for any purpose besides swimming, I think that there's a better alternative in terms of style and function.
Sure. And that's a perfectly fine opinion to hold on that stuff. I don't share it. I think you can make shorts look very good. Like, you can, even if you don't like the athletic wear type of shorts, which, I mean, fair enough. Those I would say are tougher to make,
right.
Look good. You can still pull off a perfectly fine like a beach outfit with like chino shorts.
Yeah, you can make it look okay, but it'll never look as good as pants.
Sure, but then you're going to feel a lot more comfortable
well.
in shorts versus pants in that situation.
I think that's true.
I mean, unless you go to linens, and I know you're going to speak that linens are just what you need to wear, but I feel like the whole point of fashion is that you need to have multiple choices to make that.
Sure.
You can,
I mean, I just wear regular pants during the summer, and it's a little hot, and it's fine. But
I mean, fair enough. You like, okay, so for context, I tend to sweat a lot more than the average person does. So they're like,
true.
I am just restricted.
You are functionally bound.
Yeah, I can't really wear pants during the summer and get away with it because it's just gonna be just unbelievably uncomfortable.
I can attest to this.
Yeah, so they're like, that might work for you. I'm just saying that it's objectively worse that I'm wearing shorts, even though they're significantly more comfortable than pants would be in the summer, is kind of unreasonable.
You do have a case practical exception though, in that you would sweat through your pants in a way that would ruin both the comfort and the style.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So you have an extenuating circumstance that makes it not the case, but it's still not a preferential thing or a taste thing. It's an actual you being bound by literal circumstances.
Fair enough. In that circumstance, I find it kind of difficult to say that it is objectively worse than other options. I just don't. I feel like you can make an outfit with like wearing linens, for example, in a summer outfit that will look just as good as a shorts option you could have. I think that's entirely possible. I mean, you can wear, specific shoes to make up for the fact that shorts make your legs look shorter, right? Like pants will make your legs look longer.
Yep.
So if you wear shorts, you have to counteract that by wearing like really, really almost invisible socks with like loafers, for example, right? That will make your legs look longer. You compensate for that.
Yeah, I mean, it helps,
way.
but then you could also wear the pants with your sockless loafers, and it's just going to look better. Your legs will look even longer.
I don't think it'll make that significant of a difference to say that it will objectively look better. I think there's more that goes in. I feel like you can absolutely pull off shorts.
You can pull them off, just not as well. It's an issue of the best possible option.
I think you're speaking more towards how you find your own fashion style versus how most people, well, not most people, but like how I think you're taking your own fashion style and saying that it is objectively the best.
I am doing that.
Yeah.
Because I choose my fashion, I choose my style on a moral basis.
That I don't even see how you can make the connection between that. I mean, you could wear overalls and a t-shirt and that'd be just as modest as wearing like t-shirt and jeans, right? Or
Sure.
You could wear a suit like this, but you could also wear sweatpants and long socks and other shoes and a full jacket, and you'd have just as many layers and be just as modest if you want to say that. And you're going to say that one is objectively better than the other.
Yeah, so modesty doesn't just refer to how revealing or how promiscuous your outfit is or whatever like that. That is a component of it, but it has more to do with a sense of respect and a sense of humility, respect of personal sacrifice for others. Modesty isn't just about not making people look at things that are obscene in that domain.
Right.
It's in any domain. I think wearing a shirt with a profanity written on it, even if it covers all of your parts, is still immodest. I
mean, yes, and I would agree with that, but I think that's kind of not exactly the example I was
we're building
towards. Yeah.
Right. And so if it's a concern, if modesty is about showing respect for others, showing effort for their well-being, then we have to think about what the end of this is, right? Because you follow principles to their logical conclusions in order to extrapolate their value. And so if you are to dress modestly, and modesty is about respecting others and dressing in a way that makes their experience better, then, I mean, first of all, like, we're supposed to be emulating the divine essence, right? And beauty is a part of that. And so if you're dressing in a way that is not beautiful, then you're not dressing modestly. You're not embodying the divine. And so you're not doing everything that you can to make the people's experience around you, good. It's like, I look at bad style sort of like littering, or bad, or like inattention to style. Like if you just roll out of bed in your pajamas and walk out into the street like that, you're basically littering. You're polluting the environment for other people, because now they have to see that. Now it takes away from the broader beauty of the environment that you were part of for them. And it shows a lack of effort, which is just disrespectful. Like what's the situation you would be in where you would show the most respect for another person? Like, let's say you're like summoned to a palace to serve the king. you're probably going to wear like the nicest thing that you possibly have for that. You're going to like rent a tux to go serve the king.
Possibly, or I could make a statement against the monarchy and dress in something really casual.
Assuming that you respect the king. Assuming that you respect the king, you're going to dress as nicely as you can dress. You're going to put on a tux that you rent, and you're going to go serve the king in that. And Frank Sinatra made this example. He would only ever perform. His whole group had to perform in tuxedos every time they performed anywhere. And he was asked why they did that once, and his answer was basically, he gave roughly the king example. He's like, if you were going to serve a king, you would dress in the nicest thing that you have to offer. You would give them your best. These people have all worked hard, and then they have chosen to spend the money that they've worked hard to earn to come see us and see our show. We are serving them. We should be paying them respect. We should be showing them the respect that we would show to a king in that scenario. We should be giving them the best that we have to offer. And the best that you have to offer, I do think, comes in terms of both fanciness. There's got to be a better term for that, both in terms of,
I know what you're talking about. There's a perfect word for that, but
both in terms of that and in terms of just reflection of beauty, which is an issue of emphasizing the form, the natural form, the intended human form, right? So if you're a man, then good fashion for you is going to accentuate the shoulders, is going to make the legs look long, is going to make the chest look larger than the waist, et cetera, et cetera. And obviously there are limits to that.
Right.
But
you don't want to show up in stilts.
Right.
Yeah.
So while still looking natural, good fashion will accentuate your form the best that it can but within the domain of beauty instead of within the domain of like appeal or whatever. Like sexy and beautiful are not the same thing. I think we are morally bound to dress beautifully. I think we are morally bound to dress beautifully, and and sex appeal is like at most an after a side effect of that, and also possibly not even that much. It's a little harder when talking about the female gaze, but like men tend to just look at sex appeal in a more direct sense, like we see bosom and we're like, woo.
Yeah.
Whereas for women, it's more of a piecing together of the whole because of the way that we are designed biologically. They're more instilled to look for like qualities because they get pregnant, which is a long-term thing, and then they depend on the man for survival and whatever, whereas the man doesn't do that so much, and so is designed for a more fleeting, more immediate, sexually oriented sexual gaze. And so it's harder to distinguish between the sex appeal and the handsomeness when talking about the female gaze than it is when talking about the male gaze. But either way, it should at most be an afterthought, a thing that just happens by consequence in a still modest, in an unrevealing way.
Right.
And at least not even be a component of it.
Okay. Quite a few things there. Yeah, again, this is a little bit difficult because I'm denying the fact that there's an objective beauty, and we've talked about this on a previous podcast. Go check that one out if you want to see our opinions on beauty.
Episode 4, beauty.
So it's a little bit difficult for me to get on board with what you're talking about, for multiple reasons. But but okay, so in the case of like, say that somebody has one suit and then they have like a couple button downs and some jeans and stuff, and that's just their wardrobe, and they're getting by, right? They don't really have the money to go out and buy a suit or something like that. They're just getting by. They have a suit,
right?
But they don't have, or do you think that they're morally bound to wear that suit every single day? Because that is the most beautiful thing that they could, in your frame, that's the most beautiful outfit that they could wear is a nice suit. Do you think that they would be morally bound to wear that suit every day because it is the most beautiful option?
My inclination is going to say yes. is going to be to say yes. But with the asterisk that I feel like the dude should get some more clothes. I mean, it's like these shoes were $4.
Right.
It's not, you can do this practically and cheaply. It's not an issue.
But that was under the precondition that he, like, I mean, even in, say it's like the 1940s and thrifting doesn't exist yet, and you need to, like, I'll restrict it even more. Like, there's, in that scenario, is that person still morally bound to wear a suit? They have to get it dry cleaned maybe once a week or something like that.
Well, right. And so if it's stinky, then no, you shouldn't wear it, because that's part of the consideration. That also is polluting other people's environments. That also is showing low effort. That's also disrespecting the people around you. There's a second asterisk to this also. I need a new mic stand. I wonder if I like tied a string with a dumbbell attached to it to the other side, if we could like counterbalance.
Possibly. I think you just need to tighten it more.
I can't, dude. I crank it all the way.
I mean, it's at a perfectly reasonable height.
Yeah, but it's going to go back down.
I don't think it... Okay, well...
You'll see.
Okay.
Anyway, like, I don't think that we should have our construction workers doing construction work in suits. Like, jeans were designed for a reason, right? They were made for miners. Back like in the Old West.
People in the mines.
Yes. MINERS.
Yeah.
To be durable and to be strong enough to withstand the conditions of mining and whatever, and keep you insulated. I actually don't know if that is part of it. But anyway, they were made of a thick,
thermal regulation.
They were made of a thick canvasy material specifically for harsh manual labor, which just is why I'm going to stand firm on my take that jeans are just fundamentally non-feminine. And B is why it's like, so there are two in my moral framework, in my moral framework of attire, my ethical framework of attire. I don't know. Moral, I suppose.
Moral, yes, not ethical. You have an unethical
framework. Not ethical. There are two sort of domains that you have to look at there, because you judge things looking at their prescriptive ends. I look at everything in terms of telos, in terms of its intended purpose, what it's for, why it exists. And right, and so that's part of where I'm coming from with the ways that form is accentuated by style and whatever. People were made with a certain form in mind, a certain idealistic form. And so then that's the telos, that's the purpose. And so then you do your best to reflect that, to emulate it. Same thing. Oh, right. Sorry, I totally lost my train of thought.
You're fine.
So we're looking at purpose, we're looking at telos, and we're looking at it in terms of prescriptive ends, because in order to find, right, God creates things in kinds. I wrote a piece on this broader framework called Aletheanism. I haven't decided how to pronounce it yet. Go read it. It's on my Substack. Covers this much more in depth. But like, God creates everything. Axiom A. God creates things in kinds. We get this from Scripture also. God creates each kind with a nature. Each nature is designed to a prescriptive end. And then you can obviously deduce the rest. We're supposed to make God happy, and we do what he wants we make him happy by doing what he wants, which is honoring the prescriptive end of the kind that the thing is a part of. So everything should respect the prescriptive ends of its nature. And so with style, we get two components of this. There's the sort of utilitarian sense that we're talking about, and there's a more general sense, which I'm going to look at as the general ends of style and the prescriptive ends of fashion. Sorry, the general ends of fashion and the prescriptive ends of fashion. So the general ends are the broader things that clothes just are supposed to do writ large for all clothes, right? Clothing just is designed to accentuate form. There's a reason that the there's a reason the like womanizer types call accessorizing peacocking, right? And we've talked about the birds before. It's so beauty, like basically reflecting the divine essence, how everything is supposed to work. The general ends of it are bound to our moral obligation to respect the divine, to emulate the divine essence, to reflect it. And so we get beauty as a part of that. We get the divine order as a part of that. We get restraint and modesty as a part of that. All this stuff, all of these things that are in the divine, where you have to reflect, and we have to reflect that in all that we do, including the way that we dress. So those are the general ends: to be beautiful, to be ordered, to be respectful, etc. I guess to be loving, because love is part of the divine. Love is an expression of the divine essence, and respect is a subset of love. Anyway, so that's the general end. So everything is bound to that. Everything has to be as beautiful as it can be, circumstantially speaking. But there is an asterisk to that, which is that particular outfits are designed to serve particular functions. Jeans are designed for something entirely different from what pajamas are designed for. And so this is where we get to our particular ends. If you're going to work at a construction site, your function there, your goal is to do manual labor. And so you're bound to a specific subset of clothing that serves the purpose of manual labor. Jeans are a good example of this. Canvas work pants, all this stuff is designed to withstand that condition. And if you were to wear slacks to go do your manual labor, they would rip rather quickly. They would get discolored. They would stop serving their function, even of beauty, very quickly, because they would get tattered. And so you are bound to the specific subset, but within that subset, then I do still think you have an obligation to wear the best looking thing that you can. So I think even working on a construction site, you should still wear clothing that fits well and is color coordinated with it, internally speaking, and whatever, maybe the best cut of jean, as opposed to they should be your size. They shouldn't be 2 times your size or whatever. And so the framework basically is that you're morally bound to dress in a way that maximally honors the general prescriptive ends without frustrating the particular prescriptive ends. So if you're going to a pajama party and you're wearing jeans, that's going to frustrate the prescriptive ends of the function of the event, because you're not going to be able to sleep well in them. You're not going to be able to sleep comfortably. So jeans are not an ethical decision as your only piece of attire going to a pajama party. They may look better than pajama pants. They may be more beautiful and to show more effort, but they frustrate the purpose of the event. And so they're worse. They're bad. If you're going to a business meeting, a suit is going to do much more to accentuate your form and speak effort and respect than jeans are. And so then, yes, I think you're bound to wear the suit there, not the jeans, from a moral basis, et cetera, et cetera.
So from my example previously, you'd say that he would have a moral obligation to, I'm speaking about the person who has one suit and, other reasonable clothes. In that circumstance, certain clothes would just never get worn, I don't feel like. But also, even in that scenario, you'd say that you'd have to wear it enough, like, if he's trying to maximize both of those without frustrating the other, or maximize that, what do you say, the general ends?
Yeah, maximize general without frustrating particular.
Yeah. This is very bizarre for me because I feel like this is overcomplicating it like massively, but I'm going to work with it for now.
Thank you. I'm flattered.
Yeah, I feel like, so you're saying he has a moral obligation to maximize the number of reasonable times he can wear that suit, if that is his nicest thing in his wardrobe, and it won't mess up the function. Say he's an accountant.
Right.
So he works at a desk.
Yeah.
He's not doing manual labor. There's no like problems it would cause if he did wear the suit.
Right.
You'd say that it is his moral obligation to wear that as many times as he reasonably can.
Yeah, without it being stinky or getting tattered.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was under the umbrella of reasonable.
Okay, cool. Then yes. Yes, I agree with that.
I find that bizarre. So part of the reason for me why I have an issue with that is that if in that scenario, he would be wearing the same suit virtually every single day.
That's true. And I mean, that's only until he can procure more suits. But yeah, if you have one thing that it's just, it's simple. Like if he had two suits and one made him look a little bit better than the other, like one had slightly more structured shoulders or something, then I would be more open to the idea of making a case for your beauty and respect, for the display of respect that you show to other people if you put variety into your wardrobe.
Yeah.
Staying within a certain caliber, I think is higher than the amount of respect and beauty that you show and reflect by wearing one thing over and over again. But they're in such different calibers, the jeans and the suit, that I do feel like he's bound to wear the one suit over and over as opposed to jeans. I feel like that's more respectful.
So if he's going to work and he has a suit, it's a very basic suit. We'll say it's a navy suit, a sport coat, I don't know, just standard business pants, right?
Sure.
And he also has a tux.
Okay.
Do you think then, because what I would personally, how I would handle that situation is if I work an office job, well, first off, I would see, the first thing I would do is see how other people at that job are dressing. And, you know, just because of the way I like to handle these types of things, and you'll probably agree with it, is like you probably do want to be the best dressed of everybody around you in that regard. But I think there's a limit to that, right? If there's a get together happening with friends, and some people wearing jeans, some people wearing sweatpants, some people, it's kind of all over the place. Yes, I could pick the tux out of my wardrobe, but then I would stand out. And yes, I would probably be objectively the best, or not objectively the best looking, but like, personally the best looking.
Right.
But then I'll feel so out of place that it's not going to function properly. And that might just be a stretching out of the example that you had with the pajama party. But in that case where you don't have a gauge on what the crowd will look like, do you think you have an obligation to wear the tux?
And that's a very interesting question. And everything in my framework points me to say yes, except that I feel like there has to be some level of restraint practiced at lower levels, because if you don't save a highest thing, then you have no means to show the highest respect. It's like, then if you go to a black tie gala and you're in a tux, it's like your everyday wear, and it's like, okay. Yeah. Although I don't know, maybe
that's what I was
you do
say.
Because like we are supposed to love and respect all people maximally, right? And so I don't know, maybe you are bound to be showing that maximal respect to all your environments. Maybe you do.
Because I would say there's almost some level of beauty in versatility, right? Like first off, I feel like how you feel in your outfit is a big part of how you'll, like, for example, if I'm wearing a suit, but it's uncomfortable, like it's really, really bad, like there's something sticking into my side, there's like a sharp bit sticking into my side,
okay.
and it maybe is like, tight, so it makes me look good, but it's kind of uncomfortably tight, and I'm just like, yes, sure, I might look good, but I feel terrible. If I feel terrible in my own clothes, it's going to, first off, it'll make me less confident. It'll make me less, it'll lower my mood. It'll, affect me psychologically so much that my general image will not be, in your case, in the image of God.
Right.
Right? It won't be, pointed towards the divine, or however you want to say that. For me, I would just say that's, I would look at it more practically and say that, of course that's, if you think that, I almost like weigh it in terms of opportunity cost. It's like, if I know I can go to this event in this suit, and it'll probably look the best, but I'll feel terrible and it's going to ruin my mood or whatever. Or I could wear something that's a little bit more casual and maybe like less, personally beautiful or whatever. I think I would choose the one that's more comfortable just in the interest of myself, so that my general image will reach a higher threshold than if I were in the suit. Does that make sense?
I think that's absolutely true. And this is part of why, I don't think that the best looking clothing in an objective sense will be uncomfortably tight or of super coarse material. Like a nice thing about everything being designed with a purpose and intent is that things that are good tend to also be pleasant. Like if you're working out a lot, you can get about as good a workout, if not better, doing things that are fun and engaging as you can, like sitting in a room lifting weights. And B, if you're working out as much as you should be, then you're going to need lots of protein and lots of carbs. And so then the things that are good for you to be eating are like the things that we're given to eat, the things that were, the things that people have been eating, the things that people were eating 200 years ago. You get a big old slab of beef or pork or whatever, kill a chicken, cook it up, make some bread with it, make some rice, whatever. It's like the things.
Make some bread with the chicken?
No, make some bread alongside it.
Oh, you said with it.
Right, make some bread.
Oh, I see.
It.
Yes. Okay,
I see the confusion. Yes, fair enough. I could have worded it better.
Kill a chicken, make some bread with it. Anyway, sorry. Right,
so like the things that are good for you, the things that you need to be eating are also the things that taste good and make you feel good. And the refined sugar counterexample does not apply here because it actually doesn't taste as good and it makes you feel worse. It's just that maybe worst. It's just that you get a dopamine hit and it has an addictive quality. And so you keep going back to it and you frame the reason it seems particularly good to you is framing. It's not the actual taste. The things that actually taste good and make you feel good are the things that are good for you. Nature just works because it was made for that purpose. Of course it's going to be that way. Same thing with the style. The things that make you look good, the things that make you look best aren't going to be, they might not be as comfortable as like pajama pants or whatever. Because comfort isn't supposed to be the primary concern. But they're not going to be like horribly uncomfortable either. And you could maybe use this as an argument against like corsets, which I think would be valid. I think you could also make an argument against corsets in terms of modesty, given that they are largely intended to emphasize the bosom.
I feel like I was going to say it's to the end of making your waist seem smaller, but that also would be then possibly, pointed towards that as well.
Right.
It might be a chain of things. Fair enough. I was more so saying like if you have that suit or you have a button down and jeans or button down and we'll say chinos, right? Yeah. Or you have a suit that's uncomfortably tight, but like still will look pretty good. Like you can have like people look pretty good in suits that are like generally the better it fits, the suit fits to your body, like generally the better it's going to look. So if you have a suit that does that well, but it's like tight and uncomfortable, or you have a button down, or you have a button up, button down.
Button down, I think, is more common.
Yeah. Either way, if you have a button down shirt and chinos, which are still like reasonable, like you're probably going to look decent,
right?
You still think you have the responsibility to wear the suit? Or does your own considerations for how the suit will make you feel outweigh the difference in the actual objective beauty of your outfit?
I think that's a you problem and you still have to wear the suit, even if you're uncomfortable. I think you should be able to keep good posture and look confident even if you're being bothered by discomfort.
I just don't think that's reasonable.
I think you should get a better fitting suit, but in this particular moment, yeah, I think you still have to wear the suit.
Of course I could be, convinced otherwise, but just intuitively that just feels wrong.
You see how I'm drawing the chain of reasoning, though, yeah?
Yes, I can see how you're drawing the chain of reasoning. I just don't think that it's super easy to, first off, defining what is objectively beautiful in that regard, I already have problems with, but we've already discussed that on our previous podcast. So again, go check that out. But so I struggle with, you have very principled goals in mind with a lot of these things that you're speaking about. But in terms of defining what actually achieving that goal is, that's where I feel like a lot of it is left to interpretation.
Can we agree that no matter what the circumstance is, streetwear does not do that?
So here's the thing. There is you can do it well. You actually can do streetwear well. There are things that, yes, of course, I think a suit is going to look better than streetwear. But that's my own personal opinion. People could, you could walk into an event with a suit, and you could also have, I don't know, a pop artist that has, some more trendy streetwear type of outfit going. And I would imagine, I can absolutely imagine that, them getting more compliments on their outfit because it's more creative, or it's more, it's a better representation of who they are as a person than wearing the most formal thing, would be.
Sure. I mean, I think that's a consequence.
I don't think formality equals beauty. In terms of fashion, I should specify.
Right, and there's an extent to which I agree with that, because something could be formal and not beautiful, or something could be beautiful and not necessarily formal to the utmost.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, I do think they're intertwined, but there are case exceptions to that. With streetwear, though, I mean, it's specifically designed. The whole thing about it is that it's specifically designed to be subversive of principles of good style, and so you end up with things that do the opposite of accentuating your form well. You have pants that sink below the waistline instead of rising above them. You have shirts that are 3 times too big and make you look boxy and large, and
fair enough. You could have the 3XL graphic tees or whatever. Yeah, of course. That I can see that. I think a majority of the reason why that's happening is kind of countercultural.
I agree.
They see value in standing out in that regard, and they also probably feel that that's a better representation of who they are as a person. So if they're trying to make their fashion choices a representation of who they are to their core, that's probably going to be the more accurate choice. And you could say that they should deny who they are in that case, but
hold on. Okay, so anyway. Yeah, you keep going back to this idea of it most expresses who they are as a person. And I find that very interesting, because it's not even something that I had really thought of, but I do think modern fashion, much like the rest of modern culture, has gotten very egocentric. We've got the whole, everything is about the self-care, self-help, self-love, self-motivation.
Sure.
And now we're talking about self-identification, self-expression. And the scripture's whole thing is you must die to yourself and be reborn in the spirit. It's the emphasizing of the self and the putting of the self on a pedestal. And this idea that your clothes should be most reflective of who you are at your core, of your personal identity, is I guess sort of to an extent I can see the argument for that, but at the same time, you should be cultivating who you are as a person to be reflective of the divine essence just as much as you should be cultivating your style to be a reflection of the divine essence. And there'll still be difference within that, me cultivated in the way that I reflect the divine essence will be different from like the way that my wife will be maximally cultivated to reflect the divine essence, in part because of different prescriptive roles, in part because of different underlying souls, etc. Like I do think there's room for some variance there. Like, and I'm not sure exactly how that gets expressed. Here's a great example. Different people based on their skin tones respond to different colors very well.
Right.
The way that you color yourself, the way that you the way that you choose colors in your wardrobe should be attuned. And I haven't had any color analysis done for myself yet. I have not gotten here.
Yes,
there's a color I know looks really good on me, but that's it.
I know. I think for blonde people, it's maroon, like darker, earthy tones like that.
Well, that's interesting because I'm not blonde, and that deep red is like the best color on me.
Well, I'm glad you're finally accepting you're not blonde. That's
it took a long time to get there. Yeah,
but you see what I'm. Okay, well, I'm not gonna celebrate my victory right now. I'm just gonna.
You can if you want. I open the gate.
Just for some background, for years you were claiming to be blonde, and I was consistently saying no, you have brown hair. And admittedly, under certain lighting, like it's definitely a lighter brown than most people's brown hair, but it was never blonde.
When I was a kid, it was blonde. When it pretty much,
I think I remember that,
went brown when I got it cut shorter. I used to have very long hair as a child, which I now know is a disgrace to the spirit, as a man. But
actually, we talked about that on the last episode as well. You mentioned that the long hair was.
Yeah, I don't remember which verse it is. I wish I had it memorized. I think it's. I'm not even going to guess. You want me to look through the entire Bible to find that verse?
Yes, and while you do that, I'll just speak independently to the audience. No. But
very clever.
I was going to bring it up last episode, but I didn't know if you were comfortable with speaking about your previous hairstyle, so I didn't bring it up.
No, I mean I'm a sinner. I suck. Absolutely, total depravity. I'm terrible. I'm slowly getting better as I come to know Christ and am sanctified. But yeah, I've done lots of things that I currently do plenty of things that I think I should not do and am not proud of.
Right.
I see no reason to like bury those or hide them. It just discredits me and discredits the work of the Spirit in fixing them. And the need for the Spirit in that they're there.
Either way, you were talking about skin tones,
right? And so like the color that's going to look best will be different for different people. That is a sort of mode of that should be attuned to yourself, but also attuned to yourself in a way that's primitively designed to honor the divine essence and not honor your inner self, which should be being pointed toward the divine essence. This idea of putting the self first in everything, I think, is modern and harmful. And it's interesting the way that it seeps into the fashion. I hadn't thought about that. But yeah, the countercultural fashion necessarily arises from an egocentrism at the core of your fashion decision making.
Possibly. So I would make an argument that even if you're making active fashion decisions, like you said, in the interest of appeasing God's wishes or whatever,
sure,
what you were speaking about just now. Even then, I do think your fashion ends up being very indicative of the type of person that you are, just regardless. Like, even if you reorder the chain and say, I'm dressing for this, so I'm dressing in the interest of beauty as opposed to trying in terms of egocentrism. I don't think it's egocentric to dress the way you want to present yourself in general, because that, if you're trying to dress the way you want to present yourself, that is inherently a reflection of just who you are as a person. So, and if you as a person, you're a Christian or something, then it's more likely that you're going to be dressing in a way that, like, I feel like if someone knocked at my door, two scenarios, someone knocks at my door and they're in a full suit, I'm like, okay, they might be a Jehovah's Witness. I can make a valid judgment just based off of their fashion decisions, right? It gives me a gateway into who they are as a person. if someone rocks up to my door,
Rocks up
to my door.
Yeah, man.
Someone walks up to my front door, and they're wearing a somewhat brightly colored polo shirt that's tucked into chinos.
Mm.
They're probably trying to sell me something,
Yes.
right? Like I already know, like I can pick up on what's going on just purely because of the way they dress.
Mm.
And that's powerful. And people know that's powerful. And so they can dress however they want to be viewed by other people. And sometimes you could say that, the way you're pointing it is you're not dressing this way because, well, partly, are you dressing this way because you're trying to appease God or support? Help me out with the wording on this. Being in the interest of God's divinity or whatever.
Are you trying
fancy
to
wording.
put forward? Are you trying to reflect the divine,
Yeah.
or are you trying to reflect your inner person?
Yes, yeah. Or how you would like other people to present yourself. Are you doing that for God or for yourself?
Right, and this is a pleasant case where I think that I have been blessed with a will that is after God's.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because I am just drawn to the classy old stuff.
Mhm.
That's just what I like and where I am.
Right.
But I do think that also is, broadly speaking, the best looking stuff in a general sense. As well. And so I don't know. I mean, maybe you could make a case that like someone could wear a vintage someone could wear a like modern Italian suit, and someone could wear a vintage European suit, and they're going to be like the Anglo and the continental styles are very different, and the modern and the vintage styles are somewhat different also. And so maybe you could make a case that they're emphasizing different expressions of the divine essence, and that they're both equally valid, and that they are, so that would be like where the room for personal expression is within, like you're still dressing at the highest threshold of the highest caliber. You're just emphasizing slightly different things based on your personal preference, and maybe that would be legitimate. I don't know if you can make that case. I'm not saying that because it may be the case, and I need to research more about fashion and where things come from and what exactly the function of different features of suits are and whatever. Like maybe single-breasted versus double-breasted sport coats is one of those personal decision, personal expression things. Maybe one of them just emphasizes the male form better than the other one. I don't know. I don't know enough about fashion to make that call.
Right.
If it's a personal thing, then that would be room for personal expression within, while still pointing it toward the divine. But in answer, sorry, I've gone on a tangent. In answer to your question, I think that this is a happy case where I'm doing it for both, because I think that it maximally honors the divine essence, and also it's what I like. Now, if scripture were to like specifically say don't wear suits, then I would not wear suits. Okay. If I were to see that it's against God's will to dress in the way that I like to dress, then I would stop doing that. I mean, that's part of what, like, I do kind of have, I don't like streetwear or most modern fashion or whatever, but I do kind of like the like white sneaker look. There's a way that you can make sporty look kind of good. Yeah. But I don't think that it's maximally beautiful or respectful, even though it's kind of cool. Yeah. Or like super tight shirts, or like those shirts that have holes in them or whatever. Like,
right. Yes. Yes. Yes, I'm familiar.
Like maybe those look kind of like there is a coolness to them. They look, but I think the way that they look cool is kind of in more of like a hot way than a beautiful or handsome way. There's a reel that gets circulated all the time on my Instagram, at least, that's like, some girls dress hot, some girls dress beautiful. Hell is hot, heaven is beautiful. And it's kind of, like, there's a cheesiness to it, but I think there's a legitimate metaphysical point there, and I think that it's true and bearing in terms of the moral obligation for attire.
I mean, fair enough.
So like there are some things, sorry, I got sidetracked again. There are some things that are like that I like, that I kind of like and think are kind of cool and I used to wear sometimes.
Yeah.
And I don't wear those things anymore because I do see them as in violation with the moral principles imposed on me by the scripture.
Gotcha. So in that example though, it's difficult for me to I do actually. So, what you were speaking about when you're on your tangent about like the different suits and different time frames of said, suits. Yeah. So, and I assume you meant Central European when you said European, just because I mean Italy technically is Europe. But anyway, essentially, I know what you're talking
European?
about.
I never said European. I said Italian and then I said continental.
I believe you said European when you were speaking. Anyway, it doesn't really matter at this point. If I'm understanding it correctly, Italian suits are lighter and they usually roll up the ends of their pants, correct?
So English is more concerned with structure, and Italian is more concerned with, and again, I'm not an expert on this by any means, but Italian is more focused on drape, the way that the fabric moves and falls over you. And then there are some other differences in style also, just in the, but more broadly, like Italians are a little more promiscuous than the English are. And so you get things that are more specifically attuned to emphasizing the physical form, whereas the English is sort of more of a restraint and structuring thing. Italians will wear like their collars, buttoned lower and their pants higher waisted and whatever.
Gotcha.
You're more likely to see some ankles and
Yeah. Okay. So yes, I am I guess accurate in my own vision of what I'm imagining as the Italian suit, because I remember I looked into it a while back, but I have like a general image of like the I have the idea, but I just wanted to make sure. I guess I'm much more open to your idea of like the different interpretations of what divine beauty is. Remember you were like, or different reflections?
The different expressions of the divine essence, right? So like the English, I think, focus a little bit more on the order part, and the Italians focus a little bit more on the beauty part, I think.
Gotcha.
And as long as you're staying within the realm of modesty and respect, I think you can make a case for either emphasis. We're not going to be able to encapsulate the whole divine essence. We were sort of talking about this with the architecture in our beauty episode, for example.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So that to me is, a lot more agreeable, at least from my view on fashion. That's nice, because if you had like you said, if you had an English suit and you had an Italian suit, both in your wardrobe,
right,
you could make a case. Both are very different, but I don't think you could say that one is objectively more beautiful, because you could say that they're different reflections.
And I think that's legitimate, and I think that's the only way that you can rationalize any sort of variety in your wardrobe. And I think that variety is a good thing. It indicates more respect and more beauty to wear different things each day than it does to wear the same exact thing each day. And the only way that makes sense is if different things can be the highest threshold of beautiful that they can be, but in different expressions, because otherwise there would just be a best looking thing that you have, and you should just wear that all the time.
Gotcha.
So I like this asterisk. I think that's fine.
Cool. I was worried that I would bring that up and you'd be like, no, this is actually not correct, or something like that, because this has happened before, where like you start digging into it, you're like, I think this might work, and then you're like, oh no, never mind, it doesn't work.
No, I think this one does, obviously within tight limits. Like I still don't think streetwear is justifiable. I don't think the way that Billie Eilish dresses to perform is as moral as the way that Frank Sinatra dresses to perform, nor do I think that it's moral at all. But as long as you're at that highest caliber, then I think that you're fine going between expressions within that caliber.
Gotcha. I guess the definition of the caliber is just where there's room for interpretation, in my opinion. I mean, I don't think you can definitively say, like, make a definitive definition, a definitive line, where you can make a concrete distinction between this is in the top caliber, this is not in the top caliber. You know what I mean? It's like if you're ranking dresses and you're like, okay, these are the nicest dresses that you could wear in this situation. You know, not us, but you know, you have these dresses and like, oh, well, but these are fancy. You can kind of order them in terms of how you believe them to be, in terms of beauty, right? But that, I feel like that listing is going to be different for everybody. Say you have 100 dresses and you have to rank them from most beautiful to least beautiful.
Well, and again,
people's rankings of that is going to be different, even among like Christians, even among people that are equal-minded and stuff like that.
I do think it's worth noting again from the beauty episode that the way that the amount of beauty that people perceive in things isn't necessarily representative of the amount of beauty that's in them. I think, like, you know, the art world right now is swept up in this weird modern art, again, subversive thing. And so art critics, if you put them all in a room, will rate some line going across a canvas in a gradient of luminance as more beautiful than, I was going to cite Michelangelo's
painting
David.
of a flower.
Sure. I should be able to name at least one actual painting. What's Monet did one that I really like, lilies on the water, lilies in the river. It's like a bridge and there's like a river and there are water lilies.
Oh, yeah, it's like it's
and
a
it has
river
the
with a
name Lily. Yes.
Yes, it's a river, but it like goes from the bottom right kind of through the middle and then off to the side. It
has the word lily in it, I think. This is sad. I can name the Mona Lisa. I can name the creation of Adam.
Okay.
I really need to work on this.
This
is a shortcoming of mine.
I'm not going to be able to name any more than you do, just because I don't really care for, painted artwork too much.
Starry Night, Van Gogh. That's a painting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is so sad. Wow.
We're turned into just naming paintings.
Dude, I've got like 3. Anyway, one of those.
Mm-hmm.
The art critics will rate the modern art thing as more beautiful than those traditional, actual beautiful things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe excluding the Van Gogh, that gets into a little bit more of an abstraction thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I don't think that's because it's actually more beautiful. I think that that's because they're like, like how people were concerned about us playing video games, like desensitizing us.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like that. Your conscience becomes immune. Your perception of beauty becomes immune and altered based on the things that you're taught and experience in the world.
Yeah.
And then your ability to perceive the actual amount of beauty that's in something can either be heightened or reduced through experience and through learning.
Gotcha. But from that perspective, even in that, context or whatever, do you understand why it also functions perfectly aptly with a personal identity of what beauty is? Because that's exactly what it sounds like you're describing, is like, yes, these people learn things and experience things, and that shifts their own idea of what beauty is.
Right. It's just that I believe there's a standard beneath that. Like, I think the modern art thing is objectively less beautiful than the Monet one.
Right. Yeah.
I think it just is.
I mean,
outside of anyone's perception. And so the people who think that the modern art red line going across the painting is more beautiful, I think they're just wrong. A whole room of people could think that, and no one could think the Monet is more beautiful, but they're wrong.
I mean, so I wouldn't say that they're, again, this is just recalling back to the PD podcast. It's, I wouldn't say that they're necessarily right or wrong in that sense. It's just, I feel like art is art, and including fashion is just all interpretive. interpretive, right?
Sure. Interpretational would be the other option. I'm not sure which is correct.
Either way.
One of the ways.
It's all up for interpretation when it comes to art and
Well,
fashion. I think that's where you derive the beauty, is how you interpret what you're looking at and what you're experiencing. That, I feel like, is where you derive. And if that aligns with your own personal, structure you've set up for what beauty is, then yeah, I think you can very well say that something, even if the crowd says that the red line is more beautiful, you can disagree, but not disagree on an objective sense, but disagree on a more personal level, and say, no, I don't think that's more beautiful. You'd say, I think, not that is more beautiful.
So you go a step even below the social constructivist idea and just leave it purely at an individual ascription.
Yes, but for like purely practical reasons, I always refer to what the consensus is within either your immediate community or your society as a whole. Yeah, it's like the morals versus ethics thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Of course, I do have to interject. I do think that people have a natural pull towards certain things, and again, those are very, very complicated, and I'm not super ready to make an argument that they are purely evolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, why a certain outfit looks better than another one, right? I'm not 100% ready to make a purely evolutionary, argument. Like, if you gave me two pictures of two outfits, they were very similar, but I had like my own opinion as to why one was better, and that was in agreement with like the general public or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like the consensus was that this one was more beautiful. I would have to spend some time to really analyze it and see why, from an evolutionary basis, that would be the case. But absolutely, that work could be done, and I would be confident that it would be completely understandable why that one was picked over the other one.
Mm.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So it's going to be very, very reflective of my exact thoughts on beauty in that regard.
Which I guess makes sense. And likewise.
Yeah.
Although I still don't, I have yet to cleanly, and this is the biggest hole that can be poked in my understanding of all this stuff so far, I think, is that I have yet to precisely define or identify the exact standard of objective beauty. Mm-hmm. I believe that there is one, and I feel like you can extrapolate what does and does not adhere to it, but I don't know what it itself actually is yet. I'm still working on that one. Gotcha. Although I do feel like it has something to do with the telos, with the intended form. Mm-hmm. But that it's clearly distinct from order or love or goodness in a sense, in an expressive sense, not in an essential sense. Again, because of divine simplicity, but I'm not sure what exactly that looks like.
Fair enough. And I wish you good luck on that. That seems like
I'll do some digging.
Yeah, I was gonna say, from my perspective, I don't want to it's like, oh, you just spoke about how you wanted to get to the bottom of that, and I don't want to immediately say that
there is no bottom of that.
Yeah, there is no bottom of that, or that it's impossible to actually reach that bottom if there is a bottom to that. Ignore the wording here, yes. But you understand my point. I didn't want to immediately say that, but I will say good luck.
Yeah, I probably wait. So either one of two things seems most likely to me, which is either that one of the church fathers will have written about it. One of the church fathers or the reformers will have characterized this in a way. It'll exist in Christian doctrine somewhere, in some way that I can extrapolate as I read, or it'll be one of those things where it's like, no, you're literally trying to define the divine essence, which is infinite and we're finite, and so you can't do that. The most you can do is observe it when it comes. So I don't know. We'll see.
I would imagine the second would be true, but also there may have been an attempt in Christian doctrine to do so.
I'm really not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Either way, I will not staunchly defend. I will I guess, play ball with modern fashion. I think we're actually in a very interesting period of time for fashion.
Really? Okay. Yeah. I want to talk about that. I want to visit that again, but I do want to add one more point of clarity real quick to my thing, my disclaimer, like your evolutionary thing, which is that like I feel like I'm sensing an objection that people will make to my framework to dress well under the bounds of Christianity, which is that Christ did not dress exorbitantly. My response to you people who are leveling that objection is that it would have frustrated his particular prescriptive end, right? Christ came in a human body by means of birth as a means of humbling himself and putting himself in our environment on our level. He didn't come as a king. He came as a poor person. And so, right, like the whole, not the whole, but a whole key component to the function and purpose and means of the incarnation was to make God accessible to us. Christ is the loving figure that welcomes us into salvation by means of his own sacrifice. And so he has to be being God and all, you know.
Yeah,
he has to.
I don't, but
if he were to come in decadence and exorbitance, absorbance, and whatnot, that would not be. That would frustrate the purpose of humbling himself and making himself feel accessible and on our level. Right. It would not be conducive to his prescriptive ends. And so his clothing, and we don't get a super clear description of what it was. There's no physical description of Christ again. Only things that we can extrapolate. But I guarantee you that it would have been modest in terms of how revealing it was, and it would be most attuned to reflect the divine essence, the general divine essence, beauty, order, etc., love, while honoring his prescriptive end maximally, his particular prescriptive end maximally, which was the humbling and the making God feel accessible, making God accessible, making God and the law and the divine essence accessible. Like, I don't mean to make it sound like Christ like exempts us from the glory of God or the necessity to practice his wishes. We still have to do that. It's just that we don't like necessarily immediately die because we're so far removed from God if we don't do that. And that's because Christ, and that's his purpose, and so he has to dress accordingly to that purpose. Our office, our function, our particular circumstance, our particular end is not exactly the same as that of Christ. We are to emulate him in a broad sense, in accordance with his essence, not in a particular sense according to his office. We are for different things than Christ was for, and so the way that we have to dress is different according to those ends. So while Christ didn't wear suits, I do think you have to wear suits.
TLDR.
Yes.
Jesus Christ did not wear a suit. Probably. But you should. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was going to make an argument for whether or not you felt like you should get plastic surgery.
I think plastic surgery is inexcusable.
Okay. I was going to say, because if you're maximizing beauty.
Yeah, but it takes away. God gave you your form, and you have an obligation to be grateful for that and honor it. If you're getting plastic surgery, at least if you're getting any sort of augmentative plastic surgery, if it's restored, like if you have a bad car accident that disfigures you and you get plastic surgery to restore yourself to your previous form, that's more of a gray area. I don't know exactly where I fall on that. But if it's augmentative, if you get a nose job, that's just pure. So that's saying, I know better than God, and you don't. God gave you the nose you have for a reason. I think that accessorizing yourself in accordance with your features to emphasize the ideal is a good thing to do because it operates within the bounds of natural systems. You look away, And without violating the natural systems of how you look, you add things to it to accentuate different things, et cetera, et cetera. It's like taking supplements. I think taking supplements is a good thing. Your system, your biological system is designed to, when you take in nutrients, is designed to process them a certain way and channel them to certain places. All you're doing with supplements is tweaking the amounts and varieties of nutrients that you're putting in. The system still processes them naturally, the way it's supposed to. Then you get into things like gene editing, gene altering, that sort of stuff. Now you're reaching into the system that's doing the processing and changing the way that it processes, changing it at its core. And I think that's bad and immoral. I don't think you can do that. I think as long as you're working within natural systems, you're good. If you violate or alter the natural systems, then you're in a problematic territory. And I view plastic surgery as violating the natural systems.
Gotcha. So
a fun side, like foot binding under this would be, I mean, there are obvious other, like it frustrates practical ends, I think, so you shouldn't foot bind.
Yeah, guys, don't do that.
It does, but foot binding does honor the natural systems, right? Because you're just putting your foot in something small, and then the system, the body, responds to the confined space by, crumbling and disfiguring and doing the stuff.
It's like those square Japanese watermelons.
Right, exactly. Yes. I don't think it's good, but I don't think it's morally problematic in that it violates natural systems in the way that plastic surgery does. Your body is just responding to external stuff.
Interesting. So if I turned my head into one of those very similar Japanese watermelon situations.
I don't think skulls work that way like feet. Feet can do that because there are a bunch of joints in them.
Sure, but like, you don't think that violates?
No, I mean, I don't think you can do it with your head.
Well, no, I'm saying the foot binding. With the foot binding.
I mean, it's bad in other ways because I don't think it accentuates the ideal well, and I don't think it's functionally best. So it's morally problematic, but not because it violates natural systems. You're just putting yourself in a box. That's all. The system is still doing its thing.
Well, but getting a nose job
responding to the external stimuli.
I feel like it's kind of similar.
You're reaching into the structure. You're literally like removing or adding cartilage. You're changing the foundation of yourself as opposed to simply putting it in an environment.
I feel like if you're purposefully putting your foot in an environment that you know for the sole purpose of augmenting the natural growth of a foot seems entirely like it would be against the will of God. It seems that's like, I'm not even a Christian, and I'm like, oh, well, of course, yes. If you're trying
I agree with you. It's against the will because it disfigures. And you shouldn't be disfiguring.
Right.
But it just doesn't violate the natural systems thing in the same way that like putting supplements into you is...
I mean, it could cut off blood circulation to your toes, for example, because it restricts the blood flow to your toes, which is changing something internally from the outside.
But your system is designed to do that. That's how you respond to external stimulus in that way.
Sure, but like if you get injured in battle, your body is also going to attempt to heal, and that is kind of like just purposefully injuring yourself when you do get a nose job, you know? So...
Oh, when you get a nose job.
Yeah.
It still feels different. You're reaching in and changing something about the structure by removing or adding cartilage. When you break yourself, you're not removing or adding anything. You're just, it's all external. It's all from the outside of the system, and the system stays closed and does its thing in response to the external circumstances. In plastic surgery, you're actually altering the system. You're adding or removing instead of just changing.
This is going to get into, I can make a topological argument about this.
Okay.
But it might be a little difficult because it's been a long time since I've gotten into this. But for example, at what point does food become you? Because you, like, technically, like me eating food and it traveling into my stomach, technically there is a path from my stomach to the outside world. We are one big donut. topologically, we're one big donut.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Right.
like, is that food inside of you or
Hold
outside
on. I take
of you?
issues with the donut thing because other orifices seem like they cause problems
So,
for that analysis.
ye-
Eyes.
So it turns
example.
into, you can reduce it into what looks like a menorah almost. I think we have like,
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, you have the lowermost opening,
Uh-huh.
which I'm sure people could figure out
Extrapolate. Yes.
which one that is. And then you have all of your, all the things on your face. You have your eyes, your nose connects to that, but it's technically its own through hole.
I
You
thought
have-
it connected to the mouth, not the eyes.
It connects to your throat, but topologically it can form its own through hole.
Interesting.
But also it'd be equivalent. If you're talking about how many holes does your body have, it would be one true one, but there's multiple systems that can, there's multiple.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So so it's one. So technically it'd be like putting food in a tube. Like you have like a,
Right.
you have like a paper towel roll or something,
Uh-huh.
and you're just dropping a potato through it.
Yes.
It's like, when does that actually become part of you,
Right.
So and also eating food alters your internal systems as well.
But by way of the system, right? The system is still doing what it's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
The system is responding naturally to an input that it was intended to be given.
That's what it is, the intention. It all falls down to intention. I don't think you can make a physical argument for alteration. I think intention would be probably easier to make an argument for.
Maybe. If you want to include the foot binding. You could also just make the argument that the foot binding is also bad, but I feel like if you do that, I mean, on the basis of natural systems, but I feel like if you do that, then, well, I don't know. Maybe there is something about intentionally disfiguring yourself that does violate a natural system somehow. I'm not sure exactly how you would logic that, but
I'm sure there is a way. That seems very intuitive. Just from what I know, that seems very like it seems like you could probably make an argument directly from scripture, but I don't know.
I'm open to this. Again, we're talking purely in regard to natural systems. I think it's problematic in other ways.
Yes, of course.
I'm
not. I don't mean to like shoehorn you into
right. Yeah.
into making a argument for foot binding. But yes, fair enough.
Part 2 of our Is Santa Real? Is foot binding good? We should do these debates, man. It'd be hilarious. We should make a separate series.
Yeah. Is Santa real? Guys, I saw him, I swear.
I want to see someone try to make like an analytical argument for it.
Mm.
Anyway.
And also imagine all the people without chimneys. How do they feel?
Santa still comes to people who don't have chimneys.
I know. But that's his whole thing, though, is he's
comes through the chimney. So you're saying that
chimney.
the people who do have chimneys will feel shorted because he still visits people who don't have chimneys? Even though they went to the trouble to get a chimney.
It's like, dude, if he could sneak through my back door instead of going down my
chimney,
why'd I even
get a chimney?
Why would he go down my chimney anyway?
Okay, that's a valid question.
These are the questions we need to be asking.
Truly, dude.
Yeah. Anyway,
but yeah, so
Santa is not a deity to be
reckoned with.
Anyway, if you want more of this discussion, go to our Christmas and New Year's discussion, which I think was 2 episodes ago.
Yes.
Yes, 2 episodes ago. It was actually a very, very good discussion, so I highly recommend that.
Surprisingly so, yeah.
Yes.
Our Christmas special worked out.
Anyway.
First time in programming history.
Yeah, true. Anyway, so this is a really long tangent. Hey, we're going to get back on topic. I was saying I was going to make a case for modern fashion because I think it actually is. So I will say there's an extent, like there's an extent where it goes too far. I really, I will watch for example, the Balenciaga galas. Like I'll watch clips from that sometimes and be like, just for the humor of it, because people will be wearing stuff that makes them look like an alien, and I'm like, I'm sorry, this is funny to watch
Yes.
and observe, but I can't really just personally, this is way too out there, and I think it's I feel like the more you're actively engaged in fashion, the more you're kind of turned away from what fashion was supposed to be in the first place.
So I go to music school. I'm a popular music student. We share our popular music building with the fashion program. And I can personally attest to this. The fashion students are the worst dressed students of any department that I have ever seen in my 4 years at university.
Is it experimental or lazy?
I think lazy isn't the word that I would use, because I think that it's intentional, but it looks lazy lots of the time. There are some things that are experimental, and there are some things that are the jeans that are 3 sizes too big and a t-shirt that's thrown over the top, which looks lazy, but I think is done intentionally.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So, yep, that is in line with the archetype that I was imagining for that. So there is an extent where it goes too far for sure, but also I think there's been some cool things that have happened in the world of fashion. I think it's still moving forward. It's just people are getting too experimental. It's like in academia when you're there's a lot of subject fields in academia where you kind of have to sift through the void until you find something that's wait, this is actually useful. This is where we get computer science from. We were messing around with really, really experimental and theoretical mathematics. We were pushing real math. They call it real, or no, pure math. They pushed pure math to its limits. And that's where you got binary number systems and whatnot. And it ended up being super, super useful. And it took, it caught on, and it was really, really it was great. It was fantastic. I feel like that's what fashion is, but I feel like it's kind of harder to find good stuff in that regard. So people end up just throwing anything out there and seeing if something sticks. And they go to some wild extents to do that. And people just, I guess, turn a blind eye to that.
Or follow along.
But I don't know. Either way, I think we have gotten some good stuff out of that. For example, there's been a lot more acceptance around men wearing jewelry, and I think that's just cool. I think it's just a nice addition. Yeah.
Sorry.
I think it's just a nice addition to a man's wardrobe is to have some level of jewelry. And if that's, of course you can go too far on that, right? But also there's really nice and simple ways you can incorporate that just are nice. And that's been a thing that's slowly been progressing forward.
And correct me on this if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's more of a renaissance than it is an innovation. If you look at paintings of, ancient royalty or whatever, they're going to be bedazzled to the teeth.
Sure, but
maybe. Again, correct me if I'm wrong about that. I'm talking about men. I feel like rings and, they'll have their gold scepter and stuff. I mean, crowns are a bit of male jewelry.
Yeah.
That's
fair enough. I feel like, I don't know. It felt like for a while there. Maybe it works in almost like a business cycle.
Right. I think it went away and now it's coming back.
Yes, where it comes back. So in terms of innovations, I guess, besides material innovations, because there's been a lot in that regard.
So by modern fashion, do you mean what's currently trendy, or do you mean things that are specifically new that have been fused into the realm of fashion?
I was more so saying the modern landscape of fashion in its entirety, not specifically the subset of new stuff in it. Just take a snapshot of the fashion world right now. Where are we at? And I think I can defend that reasonably well.
Broadly speaking, writ large, you think you can defend it?
I don't think I can. I will say that the hate is not necessarily as warranted as it is. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying that it's not as bad as people say it is.
I disagree. I think there are good things that have come out of it, and there are some certain elements of modern fashion that I like. I like those shirts that are a little bit boxier with the more square collars, and they are sort of polo-y, but they don't have buttons. It's kind of a modern thing. It's a modern fit.
Yeah.
I like those. I think they're cool. And I think that they do look good, and I think they do accentuate the male form well. But just because something good comes out of something does not mean that the thing itself is good. And I think that like you get lots of great art out of, you know, horrible political installations and whatever. Like there are good things that come out of it, but it's still a bad thing. And I would equate modern fashion to one of those. I think predominantly it's overrun by an egocentrism, like you were talking about accidentally.
Yeah.
That outcrops itself in regard to comfort as manifests itself in like the athleisure stuff and whatever, which is very dominant in the current fashion landscape. And then also in terms of personal expression and counterculture and like subversion in terms of the streetwear and whatever. And I think those two sort of go hand in hand, because if you're emphasizing your own comfort and your own personality, then you're going to be taking emphasis away from actual style and respect for others and care to principle and intended form and whatever.
And fair enough. I do think that fashion standards such as like the athleisure or the oversized stuff, which I've been experimenting with a little bit with the oversized stuff because I think you can do it well.
I agree. There are like baggy pants from that they used to like the suit, the slacks in like the 40s were like massive.
Yeah.
They're like really big. But the reason for that is that if you wear pleated trousers that don't stay larger in the leg, that are more tapered, then it makes, because of the way that the pleat requires extra fabric, it makes your hips look disproportionately large. It makes it look like you're wearing a diaper. And so if you want to wear pleated trousers, which rise higher and which make the leg look more straight, emphasize clean lines, then you do have to wear them a bit wider in the leg in order to get a smooth, straight, clean, flush finish.
Yeah.
And so because of that, the slacks in the 40s were like giant. And it looks kind of cool. It looks good. I've been experimenting with it myself, and I do think it's kind of cool. I like it. There is a way that baggy can be done well, but that's not what streetwear does.
Right. Like, again, but I also think even in what would be classified as streetwear, and I'm not, I think when you think of streetwear, you think of the extremes of that. Like, I think there are more subtle ways you can incorporate some, like, for example, I don't think all oversized tees, for example, look bad. I think there are some that look great. I own 2 or 3 of them that are oversized. Like I like specifically because I'm like, this is gonna look better this way versus if it were properly fitting. But again, and it's I am not like trying to prove a point. I just think just from my personal viewpoint, it like objectively, I'm like, yes, this looks cool. This is interesting as well. I really appreciate creativity when it comes to...
I'm assuming you didn't mean objectively.
Yes, no, personally, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think there are certain... I think the only way you can find the next best thing is with experimentation, so I don't blame people for experimenting. And because people are experimenting, it changes... it changes what the general fashion landscape looks like, and then that changes what new people coming into the fashion world like see as cool or beautiful or whatever. So
I agree with that.
I think the experimentation, it takes people to experiment to evolve the fashion world, and then if they evolve the fashion world, then that just fundamentally changes what people are taking in. They're like AI models, man.
Yes, pretty much.
It's like training data, right? It changes your data set for new people coming into the fashion. Like, say you're just coming into high school, right? Like, you're going to be looking towards trying to dress yourself better because, that stuff matters more to you to dress well and whatnot. and you're going to look at like the current fashion landscape and you're going to choose what you like from that, right? But that fashion landscape itself is going to be slightly like pushed along by that experimentation that people are doing. And I'm not sure why it's been such rapid expansion as of recently. Like, it feels like things have been changing a ton.
Does it? I feel like it's pretty much the same from when we were in high school.
Possibly. Maybe
from when we were in middle school.
Maybe there's rapid change like around when we were in high school. We were like at the forefront of that change, possibly.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you feel like is different between then and now?
Like, people have just fully embraced baggy clothes. Baggy clothes are like the standard now from what I've...
They were when we were going into high school, though.
I don't think so. I think people were still...
Dressing reasonably?
Not dressing reasonably, but I think they were still dressing just very normal from what I know to be normal. It just was very basic. I feel like people were dressing very basically. I don't think I don't think that people were really experimenting too much. But like, I dropped my little brother off at middle school recently, and I got like a scope on that, and people were wearing like hoodies with like multiple holes in them, and like, it was just very bizarre. And I'm like, damn, yeah, this is just very, it hasn't changed. It's just been accelerated, if you know what I mean.
Amplified.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe. Okay. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's one of those things like, like that reel that's like, where get an array of shirts that perfectly span over a gradient and wear for all the days of the year, and then wear the next one in the gradient each day over the year. So it looks like you're wearing the same color shirt to everyone who sees you. But then when you look at pictures, you're wearing a different color shirt in the past.
That's kind of a funny idea. I've never seen that.
I feel like I had that happen to me, where it's like, I've just been watching it happen so gradually and getting exposed to it progressively over that time that I didn't really notice that, like, in my mind, it's just always been like that.
Gotcha. And that's,
not always, but for our,
Yeah. So I think it took a little bit of a gap. Like, because we've been moving forward with our age group, our crowd, right?
Well, I mean, I also, keep in mind, I go to an art school.
That is true, yeah.
So I see this stuff. I'm very much, I have to deal with this garbage on a daily basis.
Yeah. And I guess I get more exposure because I'm part of more of a much more technical crowd in that regard. Like, there are still people in my class that wear jeans and a polo. And they look like...
You do not see that
fresh
on
out
campus.
Fresh out of high school. Like, their mom dressed them in the morning, which sounds terrible, but like,
wow,
you know what I mean? Like, it's I don't know.
I know. I've got a picture.
It's just, it doesn't look like they just grab stuff and throw it on. Like, there are definitely some people in that that I'm around that are like that.
Right.
But then there's also people that will try and experiment as well because they're largely online focused as well, which. Yeah.
Chronically online.
Yeah, so what I would say is I can't really blame people for wanting to experiment with that type of stuff because again, I really do believe this. People are a product of their environment. If their environment is rapidly changing, like there's been, with, recent social media additions and stuff like that, like short form video has completely taken off. People are going through a lot of mental health crises right now.
You're too critical on social media.
We have AI on the horizon, which is not even on the horizon. It's like getting here now, and people are friends with their AI people. It's like, I don't blame people for getting kind of drastic with their fashion decisions when we're in such a drastically changing landscape. Does that make sense? It feels reflective of the actual environment that they're in.
I hear what you're saying. I strongly disagree, though. There's always crazy new, ridiculously innovative stuff happening. And that goes, the amount of crazy new innovative stuff that there does increase exponentially speaking as we make innovations because we have more to innovate with.
Yep.
But I don't think the amount of new stuff and trends and whatever utilities that are around us, we're always processing a maximal amount of that. in any generation. There's just a bunch of new stuff compared to the last generation that has to be dealt with. And all of these things that you're talking about are just tools. And I think what's changed is the orientation by which we approach them. Because it used to be that people were that people, again, were not so egocentric. And so where now we're coming at all of these new tools that we have, the AI, the social media, all of these things with like, how can I get the most pleasure and satiation immediately from all of these things?
Right.
The consumerism mentality that we were talking about. And I think that's what makes them problematic. And I think that same egocentrism is what's feeding into the fashion. But I don't think that the landscape itself is responsible for that. I think we're responsible for that in our use of the tools. If we used the tools pointed toward broader goods or long-term gratification or divine essence or whatever, then I don't think the tools would be problematic. I think they would just be productive. And we're not perfect, so we can't do that perfectly, but
Well, I'll dig into what you said here, just for a little bit, because I don't want to get into it fully, because again, it's going to get into the social media territory. We're going to have a designated podcast.
We're really going to have to do that episode soon.
Yeah, because it keeps coming up. Yeah. But yeah, I'll keep it broad so I don't get stuck on that. But in terms of these tools, I struggle to call them tools in a big way.
In a big way.
A big way. Primarily because given a situation where you have, say, I don't know, I don't want to get into weird well, I feel like I have to. Let me just...
get freaky.
Say someone is like, for some reason they really enjoy watching like violent videos or something like that.
This is a thing.
Yeah. There are people, I'm just coming up with a random example, right?
Nothing to do with myself.
No, seriously.
I'm kidding. You don't strike me as a
no, I'm not one of those people.
Gore-vor.
No. Either way, if someone is like that and they have that as part of them, and they're actively trying to avoid that, right? In a world where social media doesn't exist or these tools don't exist, they're gonna have to go like they're really gonna have to. It's gonna be harder for them to act on that desire,
Sure.
Like they'll have to
actually make it happen in the real world.
Either that, or like they'll have to go out and buy a VHS if this is pre-internet or something like that.
You're thinking less far back than I was.
Yeah,
yes.
something like that, right? And then if you have the internet now, it is just a plethora of opportunity to do that. So I see it as an evil because it's helping to facilitate bad behavior.
Fascinating. You see this landscape as evil because you're looking at its predominant use cases, which are directed by humans who are primitively evil.
Yes.
Since the fall. This is fascinating to me, though, because you're picking up on the innate sin. You're picking up on original sin, basically, is what's happening.
Possibly, but I also think the worst people are often the people that scream the loudest. So in this social media landscape, the evil is just like high. It's just... But it's just going to be more available.
All this stuff that you're talking about, internet, social media, all these things, they just point you to whatever you want to see. You choose what you want it to show you, and then it shows you that. And so, people are using it. Your argument is basically that it's like...
People have a tendency to be bad people.
Yeah. Right. Your argument is that it's bad because it facilitates people looking at bad things, when I argue that's no fault of the people. This is the same argument. This is the same distinction on arguments for gun control. But like I argue that it's not the tool that's bad. The tool is just a tool. It does whatever you tell it to do. It's the people who are bad. And so maybe all that the internet and social media are doing really in your regard are like really pointing out the true depravity of humans.
Right. But if someone, but this is what I feel like, right? If I am, I don't know, a pawn shop dealer, I don't know,
Sure.
I sell things, right?
Right.
And I have this flamethrower for sale.
Merchant.
I have a flamethrower for sale, right?
Okay.
And this dude comes in and he's like very clearly an arsonist. Like he's been hinting at the fact that he is an arsonist, right? I'm just providing a service. I'm just selling things. You can't fault someone for selling something. They could sell a flamethrower to a person who tends to fields and needs to have controlled burns, right? That's a legitimate use for a flamethrower, right? So the tool I'm selling is not necessarily evil.
Right.
So all I'm doing is providing a service. I'm just a salesman, and so I sell this arsonist a flamethrower. It's like, well, no, I'm still a bad person for selling a clear arsonist a flamethrower because he's going to cause bad things. And now I had some responsibility in causing those bad things to happen.
Sure, I agree with that.
Yeah.
In the social media case, though, it's not being given to any particular person. It's making a platform, right? It's saying, here is a tool. Whoever wants to use it can use it. In that case, it feels less like that to me. Making it broadly available for everyone, because then it's up to you how you use it, and you can use it for good or bad. It also seems less like a direct interaction thing. Like you're not going to burn somebody else's house down with the internet. Whether or not they see the bad thing you put there is up to them.
Fair enough. I will say on the back end, the way, algorithmically they feed you, things that you like to see or would like to see, or the majority of people like to see, right? Is going to, it's going to favor things that are just out there in your face,
Only if you view that kind of content, though, because you can weed that out.
It'll still keep trying to push that into your feed. You can weed it out if you want to, but it's still going to try and push that into your feed. And unless you're really careful about it, it's still going to be there.
We really are talking about... We should do that later. We should move back on topic.
So I feel like
where did we leave off before social media?
If anything, even connecting that to fashion, people are going to see stuff that is out there and explosive and punchy and stuff like that, and people are going to be like, oh, that's more interesting than wearing jeans and a tee.
Yeah, I think that holds, actually. I think that's true, and I think it's true in the same way that gets us alcoholism and Vegas. In the same way that gets us pornography. It's like, as opposed to, right? Because all these short-term satiative means.
Satiary, I think.
Really?
I think so. I don't know for sure. Don't quote me on that. Satiary Mason Carson's. Anyway, yeah. You're saying
all of these means for short-term gratification that we fall into the traps of orienting ourselves toward. Substance abuse, lust, other things.
Yeah, all the bad stuff.
Gluttony, gambling, whatever.
Sorry, there's a running joke that I'm a gambling addict, which is not
You're not
true.
beating the allegations.
I am
with your
beating
record.
the allegations. I will beat the allegations.
I'm with your record of success. I meant not with your record of gambling. That sounded way worse than I meant it.
Record. I don't have a criminal record. I've gambled once in my life. I did end up winning pretty big, but I'm not a gambling addict. I just really like poker.
Which isn't even what you played.
No, it's not. I won on a slot machine, which is just pure luck.
I think the fact that we had a casino night as the main feature of our graduation party, which was hosted by the school, is indicative of the depths of depravity of the school system that we're sending our kids through. Anyway. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Anyway. Love being conditioned to gamble.
You were speaking
What's sad is I did, but anyway. Right.
Hey, you broke even. You didn't. Yeah, you broke even. It's fine.
No, I mean, what's sad is that I did love being conditioned to gamble. It was really fun. I liked it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I feel like it's more fun just because the people were around. But yeah,
the short term, I mean, it's designed for that. That's kind of what I'm saying, is all of these things are a distortion of a thing that's good, right? You can even make the case that all evil is a misuse or a distortion of something that's good. And all of these short-term gratification vices that we fall into the trap of are a substitute for an actual good. Lust is a substitute for actual loving connection with people. What was the other? Substance abuse is a direct substitute for actual dopamine stimulation. All of these things are taking something that's good that you achieve through means that have substance and achieving them through much easier means that have no substance. And it's the same sort of deal in fashion with this, with these sorts of things becoming trendy. As it becomes more and more acceptable to, present yourself lustfully, to engage in lustful action, to think and feel and indulge, to give yourself whatever indulgences you feel are suited to you.
Right.
As that becomes more acceptable, which is a direct consequence of the whole mentality of acceptance that's been being pushed for the past, decade progressively over time.
Yep.
It's that same indulgent mindset will then lead you to, like, you're conditioning yourself to be like, oh, here's a dopamine hit. Give me some more of that. This is okay. This is good. Whereas in the past, restraint was a lot more of a thing. And so dressing in ways that would be restrained and honoring of things. Like, honor is just not a thing now. We don't like honor in today's culture. Honor is bad. If you honor anything, you're like, well, I'm going to stop talking because I'll do that on my own platform.
Okay.
But
yeah. I mean, fair enough. I would say that it's not directly connected to that because look at oversized clothing. That is, and I know you said modesty was not the only dimension of that, but like oversized clothing is very modest most of the time. Like, it's like,
no, sure, and I don't mean the lust specifically, but it's like, because it's subversive and counterculture, it has shock value, right? We've trained ourselves to appreciate shock value.
But does it have shock value now? Wearing oversized clothes, because everybody's wearing oversized clothes.
Yeah, that gives me a hope because, like drugs, as you use them, they do wear off in their... Never mind, this doesn't give me a hope. Like drugs, as you use them, their efficacy, their efficaciousness, the amount that they affect you will diminish the more that you use them. And so this means that, and lust is the same way, right? When you start watching adult content as a child, because the modern world is like that, it tends to start in relatively tame territory, and then as that works less because you've been indulging, you go into farther and farther reaches of obscenity and vulgarity and whatever.
Blasphemous actions.
Truly. Because of the shock value, because you need that. That's what hits your system. That's what gives you that hit that you're looking for. And so the same way with clothing, you get that shock value from the baggy stuff, and now the baggy stuff has been normalized. So now they're going to have to reach even farther for shock value, which could be problematic potentially,
or it settles back down where people start just saying like, oh, if everyone's dressing like this, maybe normal stuff is the thing that I need to dress for shock. It's like the quarter zip meme that's going around right now. Like, everyone's obsessing over quarter zip, and quarter zips are like
actually fashionable.
Pretty fashionable. Yeah. Like, I own a couple of them.
Yeah,
they're great.
Me too. They're very good.
I think I own 3 sweater styles and then 1 like t-shirt style, which
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. They're pretty fashionable. I think that's a good rebound.
I may be exactly the same in that, actually.
You've seen 2 of them. I also well, we got to cut that out, but yeah.
I'll bleep it. We also have a
well, thank you for bleeping it.
Sure.
Yeah. So I also I have so 3 sweater styles and then 1 t-shirt style. But those are like fairly fashionable pieces of clothing. Like, and they're also reasonable. They're not like totally. Of course, you might have a problem with it because they're not wearing a suit.
I think you can wear a quarter. I think you could wear a quarter zip under a blazer, and it would look very good and be very fashionable, and also of that upper echelon of fashion that we're bound to for general activity.
Okay.
Yeah, no, quarter zips are good. I approve.
So again, maybe that is peak outrageousness.
That's the quote. Peak outrageousness. I love that.
Maybe it is peak outrageousness.
It's such a because peak makes it so Gen Z, but calling something outrageous is such an old man thing to say. And so peak outrageousness is a very fun combination of them.
Right.
I love that. I'm totally using that.
So if you reach that level and there is no I guess reason, because I feel like people will still have some degree of reason. So obviously wearing a thong to work is going to be oh wow, that is completely outrageous, and it's going to be more outrageous than wearing a visible thong, I should say, not one that under your normal stuff.
Outrageous.
That's going to be very outrageous, right? And but and obviously you probably prefer someone to wear oversized clothing than a thong, correct? Yes. So, and people are still, and obviously I don't think we'll ever get to that point where people are doing that purely for the shock value. There's going to be some limit where people just will not cross. And I think we can get up to that. I think we're on the higher end right now, but I think we're slowly falling back to the normal.
I agree with you. I think this trend exists even more broadly than just in fashion. Again, I think ideologically and whatever, we're also sort of returning to a state of normalcy and basedness that has been unprecedented for the last bit here.
I would disagree with that actually, but
and I won't go into too specific of specifics in that regard, but that's totally the hope, is that people will, by virtue of seeing the emptiness and slovenly nature of where we are right now, will then be called back to a better time and framework and landscape in terms of fashion and in terms of everything else. It's like that. What you were talking about earlier made me think of another reel that I get all the time, which is it's like radicalist countercultural families today, and it's like a regular family just having a pleasant time doing regular stuff. A man and a woman that are married with regular kids. The woman is in a dress, the man is in regular male attire that's not streetwear, and it's
I get that, and I think that kind of comes from reactionary culture. But
it's totally reactionary.
I'm not gonna get into that right now.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like it's better for people to come back to sense in a reactionary means than by no means at all. I would rather them be traditionalist reactionarily than not be traditionalist.
Gotcha.
It's not as good as just actually having values, but it's better than, it's better than the alternative for most people. I feel like a lot of people that's kind of the most we're going to get.
So I think just logically, it doesn't really make sense to me, at least, to say that there'll be a return to form of humanity or whatever.
Really? I feel like I don't think that.
I don't think there is a form for that. I'm saying that it will cycle in terms of, if we're basing good and bad off of what you were talking about, it'll probably cycle and bounce between that.
But you do think that quarter zips are better than oversized,
in my opinion,
sweaters.
Yeah.
Right, no objective standard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say that, I think they probably are. But just from my basis of fashion and what I think looks good and what I feel good in, it's just I think it's pretty solid. But also, I feel like change is constant. Change is the only constant, is what I like to say, actually.
We're definitely going to have to do change.
I was actually considering getting a tattoo of that, but
we'll get a tattoo.
We'll
we should do a podcast on tattoos. They're bad and you shouldn't get them in scripture.
Don't reference scripture, because it's not going to help in convincing me.
No, sure, but a lot of people who are Christian get them, and then they'll say in response the verse that says that you can't get them is ceremonial law, so it doesn't. Well, I guess the people who get tattoos aren't even thinking in terms of that that deeply. Sorry, that was mean. I don't mean this as a blanket statement,
right?
But generally speaking, But they'll be like, that's Old Testament, and we're not bound to the Old Testament. We're bound to the New Testament. And they're wrong about that. That's not how that works. But the ceremonial law does go away. And the verse that says directly that you can't get tattoos is actually from the ceremonial law, not from the moral law. And so we're not bound to that directly. But there are other reasons that it's bad scripturally that you can extrapolate from the New and Old Testament together.
Well, you'd say changing your natural form might be that as well.
Right. That is a part of it.
And that is literally it is basically like a very fancy injection.
Right.
Yeah.
And I won't make that joke.
Anyway, do you want to refresh?
What was I talking about?
So you were talking about tattoos, and that they were not part of the true doctrine or something, but the celebratory doctrine or something like that. What was it called?
Ceremonial law.
Yes.
Is what they were part of. And so, right. So when Christ comes, we get he's like, I am the new covenant. And so people will blow that out of proportion and use it to say that people are no longer bound to any of the law from the Old Testament. Which is obviously not true. He literally cites the Old Testament law all the time. He says, if you love me, follow my commandments. All about law.
Yeah.
But there are different types of law, and there is a kind of law that does go away, which is the ceremonial law. This is why we don't circumcise anymore, for example. It was a sacrificial ritual that was done pointing forward to Christ. And so now that Christ is here, we no longer practice the sacrificial ritual, the ceremony. And so the don't get tattoos thing was specifically in response to pagan cultures who would get tattoos to honor the dead. It says don't get a tattoo or do any other of this stuff to honor your dead. Not what we do here.
Gotcha.
And so, yes, they're correct. You can't use that verse to say that we can't get tattoos because that's from the ceremonial law, not the moral law. That does go away. But there are lots and lots of other ways that you can extrapolate from scripture that tattoos are bad and that you shouldn't get them. I think there are also plenty of other reasons that you can say that even secularly. Don't get a tattoo, my friend.
Anyway, so that had sparked from me saying change is the only constant, which I agree with. I think change is one of the only things you can kind of surrender yourself to, which is a weird thing.
Being an atheist, that makes sense.
Yeah. Which again is, we'll talk about this on our podcast about change, which we'll be recording soon, hopefully. But yeah, time and change are, I'll say, reliant on each other. You're going to say the same thing, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But yeah, the passage of time promotes change. Change is always going to be happening. You cannot stop it. You can't fight against it. It's just going to happen. So you may as well embrace it, is my opinion on that. And in the fashion world, like I said, change is just going to happen. So I may as well embrace the fact that people are experimenting and people are changing up, how they're, the way they look at fashion even. Change. People are changing, and I realize I can't stop that. And so if it's going to evolve the way it's going to evolve, then so be it. That's kind of the way I look at it. Whether or not it personally works out to like whether I enjoy a certain fashion trend or something like that, we'll see, Right now I don't per se, because I have a more, compared to an average person, I think I have a more traditional dress sense when it comes to that. But I like
to take some modicum of credit for that. I've been pushing you to dress well for the last decade. So, and it's paying off. You really have, you've stepped it up a lot in the last year.
Yep. Actually, in the last 6 months.
Well, sure. You had been stepping up even, because if I limit it to that time frame, then I don't get to take as much credit.
Of course. Yeah.
And even before that, even in Korea, you were starting to dress well.
Kind of. Yes.
You were at the forefront.
That's when my interest was starting to be like, okay, so, may as well speak about it now. We were thinking about speaking about our own personal fashion journeys.
Yes.
So yeah, I may as well go.
Yeah. So what was your personal fashion journey?
So
do you want to, It could be funny if we try to characterize each other's first before we say our own.
Okay, yeah. Do you want me to?
Why don't you do me?
Okay. No, thank you. But I will explain to you what I think your fashion journey was like.
Fine.
Okay, so.
Oh, let me respond to your change thing though, real quick.
Okay, but don't.
No,
tangent,
in regard to
fashion. Fashion.
Because you were saying that you pretty much take change as a necessary thing, and stuff's just going to change, so you may as well embrace it and be part of whatever.
Yeah.
I do tend to look at that from exactly the opposite angle. I broadly think that change is bad, and what we need are returns to things. I mean, like ultimately, and this is sort of biblically rooted, because I mean, right? Like we're supposed to go back to well, okay, that argument doesn't work. Never mind. But
well, going back to something is changing it anyway. You're changing
like yes,
what the current
but changing back, and this is why I say I think change is bad broadly speaking. Like in a localized sense, change can absolutely be good. I think I've changed a great deal in the last year, from the beginning of last year to now.
Yep.
Like we talked about on our Christmas and New Year's episode. And I think that those were good changes. I think I've changed for the better. But broadly speaking, in terms of times changing, I think that I think that change tends to be a bad thing, and sure, changing back would be a good thing, but that's not exactly change. It's just return, which is like in a purely technical sense, yes, it's change, but it doesn't bear the same meaning as like change does, you know.
Fair enough.
So that's kind of where I am with it.
I would challenge you on that.
That's for later.
I'm not going to get into that right now. Yeah, we'll speak about that on the Change podcast. Keep in tune.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Anyway, would you like me to
do
try
me?
and okay? I should. Yeah, really, we both have had dramatic fashion changes this past year.
It's like our ideologies. This has just been a really transformative year for us.
Yeah. So, well, yes, the past year, because we're like 9 days.
This last year was a yes.
Yes, we're like
Fair
9
enough.
days into 2026. But
dude, it's been a transformative 9 days.
my wardrobe has been completely overhauled in the past 9 days. But seriously, it has I think it's been about the past. Yeah, so we took a Korea trip, and that was like when I was like, okay, I'm gonna fix my fashion. But I realized you can't just do that instantly, because I liked like having a specific time where I'm like gonna do something, and that was when I tried to like get more into it, and I like bought a lot of stuff I wouldn't have otherwise gotten, and half of them fell apart, but it's fine because I wasn't buying the quality stuff. But you live and you learn. My whole shoe situation has transformed an insane amount.
Yeah.
And I'm still working out accessorizing. I'm still like new to this relatively. So I'm getting into it.
I'm discovering scarves. There are so many things you can do with them, man.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And they look very good and very classy. It's a shame we don't live somewhere colder. But they're like linen ones that you can pull off with a beachier look or an old money sort of look. I'm exploring the scarf world. I wish I had more.
I still
of
think
them.
bandanas are better than scarves for summer vibes.
That's a wild take.
Like the classic Scooby-Doo bandana, or like Fred from Scooby-Doo.
Yes.
Yeah, that style. I actually kind of like. It's interesting.
You can make it work.
But
scarves are just so, man, they're just
they are nice. Yeah.
It's admittedly it's much harder to pull off in a summery vibe than a wintry vibe. I don't know if I'll even try this coming summer, but the wintry scarves, I've totally been doing this summer, and they always get complimented.
Yep. I will say, with my fashion thing, I got lucky because apparently a lot of people are hesitant to buy black jeans. I didn't know that was a thing, but that was like one of the. I got like a pair of blue jeans, and then I got a pair of black jeans, and I got like 3 other pairs of black jeans because I love them so much. So I didn't realize that was a thing that people struggled with. Like they really needed motivation to buy black jeans. I feel like they're so inoffensive.
Yeah.
But anyway.
For me, it was, for years and years, I thought white pants looked good and cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to do it, but I wasn't brave enough.
Gotcha.
I didn't get a pair of white jeans
Mm-hmm.
until Spain, which was maybe the summer before Korea, 2 summers before Korea.
Yeah. I think it was the summer before.
Yeah.
I want to say.
And I wore those occasionally, but even then I wouldn't wear them that much. It took me getting a pair of white slacks and knowing what I'm doing in terms of fashion to like actually start doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they get complimented all the time.
Yep.
Crazy thing about dressing well is even people who are immersed in this modern cesspool of slovenly garment,
right. I wouldn't call
they
it that, but
recognize the merits of good, classy dress, and often will give compliments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I actually don't own a pair of white jeans. I almost bought one the other day. Bought a pair of them, but one pant.
Was I there?
No, you may
feel
have
like
been
I've
there
been there for some of them.
deliberation on
Yeah.
it, but I don't think I ever did it because it was like a pseudo denim. It wasn't like an actual denim, so I didn't
totally
buy it.
there for this.
Maybe in Korea, maybe actually.
Oh,
I feel like I remember
did
that.
happen then, yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So yeah, again, still working stuff out, and I'm sure you're still developing in some ways in that regard.
I've got a lot to learn about because I've just recently finally, it took a lot. It really takes a lot to start dressing like actually well and classily and formally in such a casual world. I mean, like in the 50s, guys would just wear suits for all of the stuff. You go to the coffee shop, you put on a suit. You go to the laundromat, you put on a suit. It's just what you did. It's just what people wore places. And ladies were all in nice dresses and whatever. And it was just like people just dress nice for stuff. The modern world is not like that. And there really is that herd mentality thing you were talking about really is a big thing. And it's it's like zebras, you know?
Right.
Their stripes, they're black and white stripes. They don't blend into the environment at all. That's not what they're for. But because of the patterns, when zebras stand near each other, they look like one big one big mass of zebra, one big thing. You can't pick apart, predators can't pick apart the individual zebra. Zebra?
I feel like a school of fish is probably easier, like the fish that will travel in their swarms and stuff like that.
Well, so here's the thing, is if a zebra goes off on its own, then it gets picked off by predators because it's no longer, part of that one single mass, which, they can't pick out a clean target. It's somewhat intimidating. But also, if you paint like a red stripe on a zebra, if you just do anything that interrupts that pattern, then the predators can identify that single zebra. It stands out. So even if it's still part of the herd, if there's something that makes it stand out, then it gets picked off. And so we've got this deep ingrained survival mechanism to blend in with the herd and just to be one of the mass. It's a safety thing, biologically speaking. And so, in a world where everyone's wearing streetwear and sneakers and athleisure and whatever, it just takes a lot of gumption to get over the hump and start dressing well, start dressing like a person who actually cares and respects their environment. And, I think pays homage to a better time and whatever. It takes a good deal to get to that place where you feel like you can get yourself to do that, even if you want to. And so coming to that, and I mean, it was somewhat gradual. Like you said, I just sort of slowly started trying something, wearing it out. And the first time you wear it out, like the first time I wore a suit into a non-suit specific occasion, it totally did. I felt a little weird and a little uncomfortable. And I'm like the only one who's in a suit. And and this is part of where having an objective grounding comes into, because you have that nice reassurance of like, well, okay, I may be the only one who's doing this, but this is the correct thing. And so everybody else is just wrong. And that's nice. But even then the herd mentality and whatever, and you just feel a little uncomfortable. But yeah, I slowly started phasing it in over time and long coats and whatever. And it was, and then, yeah, I mean, once you cross that bridge, which does take a lot to get over, then you just notice that you get, hold on.
Mic problems.
Truly. Gotta
Who's
fire that guy.
Michael think he is.
Really are synced up today.
Yeah.
It's sad they don't get to hear all of them.
Yeah, true.
But anyway, you right, you finally get over that place, and you just notice that like you get treated better, you get looked at differently. And none of these are the motivation for doing it. Obviously, there's there's moral and reflective and divinely reflective motivations for doing it that have to be at the center, but positive outcroppings of that are that you do brighten people's environments and days, and they notice that, and they look at you differently, and they treat you differently, and you get regarded with more respect, and you get like complimented on your outfits like all the time. Like when we hit our streak of, when we hit like our 1 week of coat weather was this last year, was when I really started actually dressing formally. And like since then, when we were going out and doing stuff, it's been summer, so I haven't been going out and doing stuff all the time. And lots of it's been athletic and whatever. But since then, when I was actually going to school and doing stuff, I don't know that I went a day without like getting at least a compliment on my outfit. And it's like people, so I don't know. It takes a good deal of courage and investment and motivation to get over the hump and actually start dressing well. Actually be the guy who's dressing well in the space. But once you do it, it totally is validated, even just from a personal perspective, in that people around you see it and respond well to it. Like, even though they're not doing it. Like, I had one guy, total like modern style, like not all the way off the deep end, but like the sort of, I don't know, the douchey high school, like the broccoli perm and whatever.
Yeah.
I was wearing that long brown pea coat that I have.
Yep.
And the dude walked up and he was like, and it was a group setting, and he like looked to the guy next to him. And he's like, I feel like I could maybe pull that off. I want to try something like that. And the guy's like, no, that's not you. And he's like, but I feel like I could do it. They want to do it too. It's just that it's the issue of getting over the hump and doing it. So that's my advice to you today, listener. Get over the hump, do it. You have a moral imperative to, for several reasons. But B, even if you didn't, it just works out nicer for everybody. You feel better, you feel more confident, you get responded to better. Everyone else in your environment is happier and feels better because you're blessing them with beauty instead of, again, polluting their environment with trash.
God. The brutal way of explaining it.
Or anything in between. Yeah, it just is better for everyone if you dress nicely. So do it. Dress nicely. That's my encouragement to you.
Cool. And I would generally agree with that. I mean, I can kind of, I mean, obviously I'm not dressing as formally as you are. Yeah. I don't think I ever really will. I kind of like having those formal things where I can get dressed up for.
Yeah, you finally wore a suit to the symphony with the turtleneck. I was so
that
proud.
Was an apt reason to wear a suit.
You've had apt reasons before and not dressed that nicely.
When? I don't feel like I have.
We go to nice restaurants and whatever, not infrequently.
Well, yeah, that was that was a while ago.
Vegas?
Yeah.
Vegas. Las Vegas.
Fair enough. Yeah, that was still, like I said, I've had a insanely fast.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. This is progress.
Revelation. So it, like back then, I would never. I don't think I would have.
Yeah, and now you do, and it's cool.
But yeah, I like having kind of a segmentation there of like I can still, if I like having rare events where I can get dressed up for, because I feel like if I wore a suit all the time, the novelty of wearing a suit would kind of wear away. But
Right.
like if I get like that once a month, once every 2 months type of event, or something happening that I can get that dressed up for, it's like, sure, why not? It'll be fun. It'll be even more fun because of the rarity of it,
Yeah.
Which I guess you can still do, but it's not as big of a jump.
That's kind of where I am with tuxes, which is a fairly large jump. Although, and I don't know. I mean, not that I have that frequent occasions to wear tuxes, but that's like that same thing for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's good or not. We talked about that a bit earlier, whether or not that's like, I don't know. I'll have to meditate on that. But I'm in a similar place. Just the slider is slid up a bit. Yeah.
In terms of formality. Again, I don't think you would argue it's better. I would argue it doesn't really matter.
I was speaking of a formality slider in this case.
Yes. So, yeah, again, and I have noticed a difference in the way that people treat you and people, it's just, you will pick up on that stuff if you evolve your wardrobe.
Yeah. I thought you were just going to stop it if you evolve. Which I thought was really funny.
But yeah, if I recall how I felt back then, and I wanted to look good. Everybody wants to look good, but it is a problem of courage, whether or not you have the courage to do that. And there are ways you can
phase it in.
Yes, exactly. Say you just got a new like fancy shirt or something, right? Or a fancy button down, and you just want to like test the waters of it. If your family's like going out to dinner, or if you're going over to a friend's house or something, wear it and see how it is. Because I guarantee you, I guarantee you, you'll feel good after that. Like people will take notice of it and either subtly treat you differently, like strangers and stuff like that, or you'll get directly complimented by people who you know and respect and stuff, and that'll boost your confidence in it, and then you'll start wearing it out. I had a polo, that gray polo, that I bought a while back in Vegas, actually.
Ah, yes.
And I wanted to, work it into my wardrobe and stuff. But I didn't. I was like, this is weird. I'm not a huge fan of polos. I don't know. I was new to collared shirts. And so what I did is I bought it before the Vegas trip, and I took it on the Vegas trip and wore it during that. And it was like, okay, cool. Yeah. No one thinks I look weird. This is fine. Everything's fine. So yeah, just work with your own psyche to create a better outcome long term.
Wearing something in a low pressure environment first also is a good, like if you've got like a brand new thing that you think will look really nice and it might be like the coolest thing that you have. Yeah. Don't ever like wear that for the first time, like on a date. Yeah. I've made this mistake, not like super recently, but it's, you don't feel comfortable with it yet. You don't feel confident in it yet. So if you're already in sorry, continue. If you're already in a situation where you're like a little bit, where you're just more self-conscious, not as in like you're like ashamed of yourself or nervous or whatever, but just you're more aware of yourself and how you're presenting because of the circumstance, because it's important. Yeah. And you're wearing something that you're not familiar with already, that you don't already know what feels and how treats you and whatever, then you're just going to feel stressed the whole time, and then you're not going to like the garment, and it'll be a less fun time. So wear it to a low pressure thing first, like you were saying, friends, family, whatever. Yes. And then once you get familiar with it, then you put it on again, and you're like, this thing. Yeah, this feels right. I know this thing. Yeah. Yeah. Because if you wear it in a high pressure environment for the first time, your attention is going to be diverted from the thing you were going to that thing in the first place, you know? Yeah. And so. Yep. So get out there, experiment. Be the change you want to see in the world, man. Yeah. This, or woman, like 89% of our listeners are women.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's true. Got a matriarchy of viewership.
If you listen to our podcast, odds are You are a woman. Anyway.
Right.
Maybe it's because we dress so nice.
I don't know. Maybe. I actually am curious. I don't know what I wore in the first couple podcasts.
We should look back through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be very easy.
But like our whole world now is characterized by like boring, utilitarian, comfort-oriented, efficiency-oriented things. All of the buildings are modern minimalist. All the cars are like the same two colors and don't have any interesting curves. All the people are just wearing stuff that's comfortable or stuff that's functional or stuff that's intentionally subversive. I'm kind of dropping that from this conversation. Be the change you want to see in the world. There was a time when like the lampposts all had like beautiful little embellishments and curtains were lace and patterned. Like there was a time when things just were beautiful. You see those pictures of the old gasworks buildings and whatever that are like more ornate than our modern like nicest, fanciest hotels and stuff. It's like stuff people used to care about beauty. It used to just be around. We used to want to make our world beautiful instead of just functional. And the outfits are an outcropping of that shift into functional from beautiful and into comfortable and casual from beautiful. If you want to see a world that's more beautiful, be that. And you always talk about how people are a product of their environment. You can be their environment. You can be the person that they see dressing nicely that instills in them, yeah, that looks good. People are doing that. Maybe I can do that. Set an example. Be beautiful if you want the world to be beautiful.
Be beautiful.
Be beautiful.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah, I think that's very solid. I think it works with actually both of our frameworks.
Totally. No, this is like the most direct messaging we've ever done in this platform.
Yeah, but I hope us at least talking about our own personal experiences can help other people out there as well.
We've been an encouragement to you.
So yeah, thank you.
And also there was interesting philosophical stuff
that as well,
which is kind of the point of the podcast.
Yeah. So it was just a nice, very, very nice conversation.
This was an excellent conversation. This was, I feel like our last episode was not very
It was engaging. A little contentious and engaging.
I don't feel like we were contending. It felt
not nearly as contentious as the Love podcast, but it definitely was
chill, but it wasn't, I don't know. I don't feel like we were really like in it in the way that we are today, which is funny because that one was planned and this one was not.
Yeah. And oftentimes when we plan these, it ends up
much worse
than
if the spontaneous ones.
Go for it.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
it's been a pleasure. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Praise God. What do you mean?